Hi, everybody, and welcome to the third quarter DualShockers Game of the Year discussion. This is our ongoing series that we have been doing throughout 2020, where we are talking about the biggest releases of the year and what we think about them. Again, this is our third quarter discussion, so if you have not checked out our first quarter or our second quarter, those are here on our YouTube channel as well. But today we will be talking about games that released clearly in the third quarter of the year. So that constitutes from July until September. So we're recording this in October, so we're looking back at games that came out at the end of last month being the cutoff. So if you're here to hear us talk about how terrible Crash Bandicoot 4 is, you'll have to wait until the very end of the year at this point. But our esteemed panel today, who is going to be talking about all of these games. Oh, I'm Logan Moore. I'm the managing editor at DualShockers. I guess I should say my name first. Also joining us is Cameron Hawkins, is in my top left of the screen that I am seeing. Cam, what's up?
Talk about games.
Exactly. Charlie Waycoles is here, right? I always say it wrong, don't I?
No, it's okay. I don't know a single person who said it right on the first try. It's Charlie Wacholds. What's going on, guys?
All right. Gabriel Moss is here with us for the first time, right? You haven't done one of these with us before.
I've been freelancing with you guys for like a year, but I haven't been on any of these yet. So
yeah, Gabe's been one of our contributors and freelancers for about a year now. Wow, it's really strange how time has gone this year. It feels both equally very, very slow and then also extremely fast. So yeah, Gabe's here to join us today. We've also got Chris Corneless from Australia, and it's probably bright and early over there. How's it going on your end?
It's all right. I'm just here to make everybody play Hades. Play Hades, damn you.
We'll get to the end of that. Well, that'll probably be one of the late ones we get to. Mario Rivera is here running the board. He has different colored hair now. Hi, Mario. I think this is the first time I've seen you with this red hair look now. Nick Blaine is here as well, our other video person. He's not running a board, at least not that I'm aware of, but hi, Nick.
I have all the boards.
Dennis Rodman is here. Ricky Freck.
Hey, what's up?
He's wearing a Dennis Rodman jersey, at least. I really like that Dennis Rodman clip from The Last Dance where it's like it goes boing and then boing. You know, I think you should know what I'm talking about. Where he talks about
Game of the Year, Last Dance.
How he got so good at rebounding. Yeah, Game of the Year, Last Dance. Dennis Rodman wrote a book. Oh,
it's all about those hotness.
Writing. Then
yeah,
sounds like just a picture show.
I was muted, so you'll never know what I said. So there you go.
Scott White is here as well. Scott, hi.
Howdy.
And then on my end, I'm not seeing his face, but I know you're seeing a picture of his face on your end on the YouTube version. Otto Kratke is the last person here. Hi, Otto.
This is the disembodied voice of the Soul Crash fan.
No, he can't.
Team Crash right here, Otto. We gotta stick together.
Thank you. It's nice if we showed more unity for once.
Hey, man.
Guys,
I can't go against my own truth, and my own truth is that Crash Bandicoot is bad. So
well, it's okay. We won't have to have that discussion.
We'll get into it. Yeah, we'll get into it next year. It's gonna be next quarter is gonna be really bizarre because I'm gonna have to blast that game endlessly, even though it's very obvious that I won't go within 1,000 feet of it. So, as for today, though, so if you've been watching our previous versions of this, we have been, I'll say this up front, we've been talking about basically every game we reviewed in every quarter for the past couple times. We've narrowed the list down pretty decently. I mean, we've still got probably 20 games we're going to be talking about today, but rather than touching on every single game that we reviewed specifically for DualShockers within the quarter, which is something we've been doing in these videos in the past, we've kind of just narrowed it down to the ones that are going to stand out near the end of the year and the ones that we can actually have thorough discussions on, because I think the past couple of videos we've done for these have just mainly been like, oh, so-and-so, you reviewed this game. Give us a monologue of what you think about this game. And that's not always the best form of entertainment. I don't know. You can go read their review because usually they're just talking about it alone and they've already written a couple thousand words about the game. So the games we're talking about today are ones we're going to have probably more conversations about. So with that in mind, the first game that came out in this past quarter, right at the start of July, kind of dropped out of nowhere. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 is the first one we're going to be talking about on our list today. And Charlie reviewed that for us, so I don't know if you want to kick this off. I know a couple other people here have played it as well, but I forget what you gave it. I can look it up. But what was your general impression of the game?
Basically, I just kind of found it to be, in some ways, a continuation of the quality of the last, not last Bloodstained game, but the last Curse of the Moon game. which is kind of the more 8-bit style Castlevania kind of deal. But I think that this one relied a little bit more on gimmicks than the first one, so I think that it kind of meant that it lived and died by kind of how good the actual gimmicks of each level were, and by how well each character utilized the different things in the level, and how the level kind of encouraged you to use the character's special abilities. So I think like there are some sections of that game that are like really, really good, but then there are some sections of that game that really just aren't that enjoyable, and they kind of feel like the classic annoying parts of Castlevania. But then, there are also some really awesome parts.
Is there a pug that drives a mech? Is that
It's
game?
a corgi, but yes.
That instantly makes it game of the year. A corgi riding around in a steampunk armor.
Why are we even here? Why aren't we playing this game right now?
That's the end of the podcast, everybody. Go play Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. You ended up giving it an 8. And I now that we started talking about it, before Ricky brought it up, I was like, wait, was this the one with the dog in it? Did anybody else? I haven't played this one myself. I actually have the first one downloaded on my Switch, but I just never got around to giving it a shot for myself, which I don't know. It's amongst hundreds of other games that I own that I need to play one day.
Dog is eternal.
Yeah, I will die. I will die and not have played a lot of games, but that's okay. So is life. Anybody else play this one? Shelf update.
Still
curved.
That's right.
Still doing good.
They look a little less curved than the last time, if I'm being honest.
Maybe it's progressing. It's like going this way.
Did anybody else get to play this one by chance and have any immediate thoughts on it that they wanted to throw out there before we potentially move on?
I
All
really
I know is
enjoyed
there was
Curse of the
skateboarding.
Blood.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I enjoyed the new characters that they added. I thought it did a good job kind of expanding the lore of the franchise and added some cool new characters with unique abilities. I love the sniper guy and, of course, the corgi. I would love to see them make appearances in a main, like, Bloodstained 2 down the road. But it was a good game. It checked all the boxes of that classic Castlevania formula for me, and it was a fun weekend playthrough.
As far as like indie creates go, like I'm always really impressed that they can like churn these games out so quickly, because I mean they've stealth dropped two. I mean they've stealth dropped basically both of these games, because I remember they announced and released the other one pretty much out of nowhere as well.
Well, the original one was a Kickstarter goal.
It was, yeah, and then they still, I think they just kind of said with that one, right? Like, oh, hey, remember this Kickstarter stretch goal? Oh, well, it's done and it's out. Here you go. But they work on a lot of stuff over there, and they do a great job of juggling all of it and releasing it all in a really timely manner. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I really want to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, I really want to play through the Bloodstained series. I just haven't yet. So.
Yeah, honestly, like, if you like classic Castlevania, there's no reason not to. But honestly, like as far as indie creates games go, they're a good developer, and this just felt like they were doing their thing. Nothing like really incredible for them, but also definitely not bad for them by any means.
For sure. Well, there you go. That's Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. That's the first game we're talking about. Hooray. Second one on this list is, so I did say a second ago that we're not going to have too many games where probably only one person played it. This is probably the exception, because I doubt anybody else has. What did you say?
This one is a blessing in disguise.
It is a blessing in disguise. Deadly Premonition 2, a blessing in disguise, is the one that Ricky reviewed. Ricky is a huge fan of this franchise, and such a big fan that he totally admitted in his review that the game was like straight up very bad in some aspects, and we still gave it a 9 out of 10 because he loved it that much. Ricky, I guess I don't know. Start there. Explain how you love this game so much in spite of everything that is wrong with it.
Well, I wouldn't say everything. I would say in spite of like the bad frame rate and maybe some poor story choices. But to me, it kind of is like, imagine, if you will, a Yakuza game without a budget, and that's pretty much how I felt about Deadly Premonition 2. In that, like, it's all about the characters. It's all about like these wacky people you meet. It's kind of also like if you're a fan of Twin Peaks, that's a big touchstone for this kind of game, because you're meeting all these people who, at first, even in this one, it's kind of weird because in the first one they seem normal at first, and then this one they're just like the very first person you meet is this man who he's like the owner of a hotel, and he has one accent, and then in the next scene he is now he's the same person, the same name, but he has a different accent, doesn't believe he's the same person, and he's now the chef. And then also later he is also with a new accent and a new person, like a new persona, he is also the bellhop. And all of them have like different relationships with different people. Like the bellhop has this kind of like he's kind of dating this girl who sort of invented Uber in a weird way in Louisiana in 2005. And the main one is actually he's married to someone. So I don't understand how it all works. And maybe that's I got lost a little bit and just was so into how weird it is. Maybe that's why I scored it so. I mean, that's probably why I scored it so high. But like, the characters are so much fun. And in the first game, you have this. There's this girl who's always with you, not always, almost always with you, and she's kind of just like the straight man or the straight person. To your like, York is weird. He's like talks to himself and
movie
like
references.
Is she the like Harry Truman of the group, like the sheriff that is standing next to Dale Cooper?
Yeah, she's like the Harry Truman basically.
There you go.
And so in this one, a new person is that person, but it's a little girl, and like half the time York he'll be like, Zach, blah 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 blah, and Patty, who's a little girl, she'll just look at the camera and be like, can you believe what this guy's saying? Like not saying it out loud, but she just like looks at the camera and she's like, what is this guy?
But it's as if they would say it out loud.
Yeah,
like as someone who played Deadly Premonition 1, yeah.
And this girl just does not put up with this crap. And, I mean, like everybody's like that. Like her dad is the town sheriff, and he like I don't know what his thing is. I think he thinks he's like a movie director, and so when he talks, he's like, and then we're gonna do this, and like moves his arms like that. But then you look at like how it performs, and it is terrible. The only good part about the gameplay is the skateboarding, and even that is like.
But is it like 10 full frames a second or something like that I've seen in some of the clips?
Logan.
They're up to what, 20 now?
Is it better? I was curious about
hopefully.
that.
I mean, here's what I will say is I would not play this game unless you're a big fan of the original. I would find a YouTube playthrough and watch someone else play this game because it's pretty wild. It's probably worth watching.
Watch a playthrough of the first game too. It's the first game's so good.
You had so I'm like not really familiar with this franchise too much. Like I just know that it's like super weird and like people love it because it's so strange. But you had a line in your review that I've remembered since I read it like 3 months ago, and you described York. You said, "Imagine a man who not only hasn't seen a Marvel movie in 2020, but hasn't even heard of them. That's York. He'd see a poster for the Avengers and be like, this masked man in red, white, and blue tights reminds me of Simon Wincer's 1996 film, The Phantom, starring Billy Zane and Christy Swanson."
Yeah.
And then you wrote, and then you'd hear him talk about it lovingly for 5 minutes while some great smooth jazz plays in the background.
Yeah, that's that game. Yeah.
Sounds legit. All right.
He's just like he brings up all these weird movies, and he'll bring up famous actors, but not in the parts you know them from. Like it's ridiculous. But then like even with that, so when you're like riding around in town on the skateboard, he'll just start randomly talking about movies to himself. Although it's implied that the girl is like sprinting behind you while you're skateboarding. But he just talks, but he only has like 10 lines or 10 like monologues. And he just says them over and over again. And sometimes you'll like stop and get off your skateboard for a second and get back on, and it starts the same monologue, but at the very start. So it just starts over again because there's only 10 of them, and they just keep cycling them over and over again. So, Jesus. Yeah, I don't know.
So what you're saying is it's a 9 out of 10.
I love this game.
I'm just waiting for Swery to make a Frasier-esque game the same way he made a Twin Peaks-esque game.
I'm waiting for D4 2. That's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait. I wish that would come out.
D4
is incredible.
Yeah.
Deadly Premonition, is it gonna win Game of the Year? I don't know, probably not. But if you're somebody like Ricky who likes this weird stuff, like I saw Chris's face lighten up here as he was talking about it. So I think you sold Chris potentially, especially with the Yakuza name drop at least.
I am nothing if not a Yakuza fan, but I have heard good things about this series and have been meaning to, even with all the disaster that was 2's technical state. But like, yeah, I read your review. I'm like, I need to check this out sometime. But who has the time?
Go ahead. I wrote on a sticky note when you said we couldn't talk about Deadly Premonition 2. In the last one, I wrote down like Yakuza without a budget, so I wouldn't forget that line.
Good call.
Yeah.
There you go. You've been sitting on it for 3 or 4 months now. All right, let's get into something I'm sure we'll all have a lot of thoughts about, which was probably arguably the biggest game that came out over this period of time, which is Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch's latest release on PS4. I'm kind of, I don't know. I assume everybody here has dabbled in this a little bit, potentially. Gabe's shaking his head no. Ricky's shaking his head no. But, and Otto, you said you haven't either, right?
I've not touched it.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm shocked by a lot of you.
I heard good things about it.
And then
Same.
next week we got the big DLC download with the co-op surprise.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can start this off because I think I'm coming at this from a weird perspective, or maybe not a weird perspective. I think this game is like is just absolutely fine. Like the presentation, the graphics, the open world like design and how it looks, and like everything presentation wise about this game is like off the charts, fantastic. Gameplay and what you are actively doing in this game, like so derivative, so boring, so uninventive. Like I felt like I was thrown back into 2011, 2012, 2013 era open world games. Like it felt dated even compared to stuff that I know people have ragged on in recent years. Like, oh, the new Assassin's Creed games are too formulaic. I'm like, what? Ghost of Tsushima is like 10 times worse. Yeah, to throw this out there too, like I platinumed this game. I did every possible thing you could do in this game for some reason, and I don't even really like it.
Wow, because I can't get myself to do that, and I did a lot of stuff in that game.
Yeah, so I'm a psycho. So yeah, I don't know, man. And we could touch on some like deeper stuff here too. I think Jin's a bad character. I don't know if we want to get into that and stuff like that, but I don't know. Top down perspective, I am just like not. Sucker Punch, make another Infamous next time instead of a sequel to this.
Cooper.
Yeah, make a Sly Cooper.
Sly.
There's some cool things in this game, but largely I just felt like it was I don't know. It was like my most anticipated game of the year potentially as well. So like I was very, very much looking forward to it. And so for me to be saying this kind of sucks, but I don't know. Where's everybody else at? I don't know what the temperature.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What kind of things would you expect to do in a game in that setting?
I mean, the missions and stuff, I think. So, like, obviously the hack and slash sword play and stuff like that, yeah, that makes sense. And so does the stealth and round. Like, those aspects I'm all totally fine with. Yeah. But
it feels like you're talking more about, like, the side stuff. And that's...
Well, the side stuff was really uninteresting, but I felt like the missions were really uninteresting, too. Like, there's how many main storyline missions in this? Like, 40 or 50? And I feel like there are...
I would even say
3 I can remember back on,
I would
potentially.
say that's generous. I would say there's like maybe less than 20.
Yeah, there's way less than that, actually.
Because once you get 3 missions in, you're like clearly almost done with the chapter on most of them. So yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like once you get to like the big set piece moments where like there's some cool ones where you're like all storming the forts with like a huge army of samurai, like that stuff is cool. And I really like those moments. But the rest of the missions in between, it feels like it's like, oh, follow this guy and don't get caught and do this, that, and the other. Like just the most bland objectives that open world games have been throwing at us forever. And it's like I'm just so tired of these very mailed in formats when it comes to mission design, at least.
I will say,
but again, like,
God.
But again, what would you? I don't know. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I just don't get like what you're
so far away, by the way, from your microphone. So
I don't understand what your expectations were for a game of that setting. Like, I don't know. I feel like that the game that I've been playing is what I expected to get, and I don't know. I'm like really enjoying the game. Like, I don't know. I think also like all the side stuff. Like you get like I don't know, like compared to most open world games, like I feel like everything that you get rewarded for what you're doing in the side stuff, like feels worth your time. Again, I think the game looks great. I think the combat, it's inconsistent, but it's still fun. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on how I feel about Jin as a character, but with the missions, like, I don't particularly remember like the whole mission structure, but I do remember the characters and their background and things like that. And I've only played the first third of the game, and I spent like 20 hours like going through like the first third of the map. Like I don't know.
Well, let me cut in there, because when you said the characters in the background, that to me is the only thing I think I drew the most stuff out of this game, was the fact that I started caring more about the people around them, even if at the end of the day, a lot of the things that they're doing are actually slightly scumbaggish, depending on their story that you go about.
Depending on if it's in Chicago or not. Screw that guy.
No, he was a fucking asshole. But there are other characters like I can't remember if she was your nanny or she was like a family friend, but she's the one that gives you the poison darts. And when you complete her story, I actually felt pretty sad.
She has one of the better arcs in the whole game.
Yes. Yeah. And then some of the other characters have that as well if you explore it all the way through. And I think those are the most uplifting story, most engrossing stories out of the whole thing. Getting to Jin's story of them becoming the ghost, while at certain times, I don't know, it just felt like it was fighting, because I thought I was playing a samurai game, but I'm clearly not, and I wasn't sure about that. I didn't know what the narrative was trying to tell me there. So those are the things that I think they got muddled, along with the static, like, all right, go do this, go do that. I just found it very uninteresting when I was playing it, even though I played way too much, and I've collected way too much, and I platinumed their last game, Second Son. I enjoyed that one more. Which is a weird thing. Most people hate that game. But as living through their formula, I just felt their formula here again, and it made me not want to play any more of these games for the rest of the year. So that's why it's like it has literally affected me how I might play Watch Dogs or even the next Assassin's Creed game. Because I
don't want to play Watch Dogs.
I just don't want to play these same experiences because of that.
But so your main critique is really just the mainline story?
No, the game as a whole.
I'm saying your main critique though, because that's what I was getting, was that like you weren't about doing like you're saying like that the side stuff was
pretty, and like, you know, to be fair, the side stuff is 4 missions.
Wasn't
4 missions of 4 particular people that you.
There's like all the missions are centered around different characters. I think
that's what I'm saying. Those are the most uplifting stuff. Everything else was very much collect the thing, talk to the fox. What does the fox say? You know, like at a certain point, it's just like
that takes me back.
Well, yeah, but you get rewarded for doing those.
I'm happy that I get a headband, but otherwise it didn't really reward me much.
I'll say this because I kind of felt similar to you, Cam, and by the time you get to the third section of the game, like once I finished the first island, I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad or whatever, and I like completely cleared it off. And then when I got to the second one, did the whole thing again, and then the third one, I did the whole thing again. Like I like the things the side things they throw at you, like, oh, go follow this fox, or go, make a haiku, or slice these bamboo things. It's like, okay, this is cool. And then when you realize you're like, oh, I've been following these foxes a few times, this is pretty cool. How many of these have I done? And it's like, you check the menu and it's like, you have completed 8 out of 40 of these. And it's like, I gotta follow 30 more foxes in this stupid game. Like that what stuff is. And it's not even just the side stuff, too. I mean, to tie in the story stuff, too. My problem with Jin is Jin doesn't feel like a character that is well fleshed out and has his own identity until near the very end of the game. Every single character in this game influences Jin to where whoever he is around, he is like the most malleable character that changes his tune based on whoever he is around at that given moment. Where he's like, the lady's like, oh, you should go stab these people in the neck and kill them. And he's like, well, I don't know if I should do that. And she's like, well, yeah, you should, because they're bad guys. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll go do that. And then he shows up next to his uncle later. His uncle's like, no, that's not how we fight. And he's like, yeah, you know what? You're right, uncle. That isn't how we fight. Like, and I get it to a degree that it's presented less though that I get what the game was going for, is that he's having this internal conflict with himself, but it more comes across of he's having an internal conflict of which of his friends or confidants he should listen to more. And they do flesh out a little bit more of that later on, but it never just again, I think I played this game incorrectly too, because I did platinum it, and so I probably put 50 to 60 hours into it, which means I experienced the story over that period of time too. So by the time I got to hour 40 or 45 in this game, he's still like, I don't know if I should be a ghost or if I should be a samurai. I'm like, bro, how have you not figured this out yet? How have you not figured what path you want to go on yet? And it's because I had like been pushing off the main story stuff. And that's my own fault for playing it that way, sort of, even though that's like how I like to play games. But
just following the wind, man.
Yeah.
And the last
that was cool.
What was that? What was that, Scott?
No, the wind was cool.
No,
the
wind is really cool. Yeah.
No, I think I was gonna say this is like the first open world game I've played in like a year or something, and so many of the things that they put into this game in terms of just like traversal stuff made it really relaxing, but also kind of refreshing coming off of like, because I think I played Ghost after I played a game we're going to talk about later, Carrion, and then Bloodstained and a couple other 2D games. So I was like kind of looking for something more open, something with more freedom, something with more in-depth combat. And so I think also part of the reason why some of you guys have kind of not been so hot on this game is that if you don't like the combat, you won't like the game. Because I'm going to be honest, the stealth is not that great.
I agree.
They do give you a lot of really cool tools, but there's ultimately nothing to kind of bring those tools together to give you an experience on the level of something like a Metal Gear Solid.
For me, with Ghost, I didn't go in looking for a story. Like, after the first gameplay trailer, this just screamed to me, this is the Assassin's Creed Japan fans have wanted. So going in and playing it, it scratched all of those itches that modern Assassin's Creed games haven't, that I kind of wanted to go back to, like the assassinations and just being able to sneak and stab people. Like, I really dug that. So I agree that the side characters are stronger than Jin. I like a lot of the side branching stuff, the side stories you can explore and find out about. But I just had a really fun time with Ghosts. Sneaking around, like just coming across a group of enemies and just taking them all out, like throwing a smoke bomb and then assassinating a bunch of them. Like, that scratched that itch. So I wasn't going in looking for, I guess, like a rich, like really intricate, heart-wrenching or like intense samurai game, like samurai story. I wanted to just go be like a fucking ninja cruising around the countryside, basically be like Ninja Batman, Assassin's Creed Japan, and going from that angle, I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. I didn't do all the side stuff. Like, I didn't really care about foxes. I just, how fast can I level up or clear the outpost so I can invest more points into my ghost tree so I can do more cool stuff, and things like that. And in kind of regards to what you were saying, Logan, I think you might get a kick out of Nioh 2.
I would like to play that game.
I think you would really dig it. Just kind of going by what you were saying, what you weren't a huge fan of with this one. Mm-hmm. I think you would dig Nioh 2.
I got a couple hours into the first Nioh, but the Nioh 2, I mean, it's hard for me
I've enjoyed it.
It's hard for me to not fall into Souls like holes all the time. Like, I have to like actively stop myself from playing too many Souls likes sometimes, which sounds stupid, even though I play.
He assigned himself Mortar Shell and Demon Souls.
Yeah. Well, yes, I guess. Nioh is one that I've been like, I keep seeing it drop in price too, and I'm like, ooh, I should play this.
That collector's edition goes on sale a lot, and I have tempted.
If you ever want to do some co-op Nioh, if you end up picking it up, let me know, and we can ninja it up.
That would be fun. Maybe. Depends on how slow the next gen stuff's gonna be. Last thing I wanted to say on this one, personally, I feel like I've been ranting about this one the most, but to be honest, this is the game that I played the most this quarter that I'm gonna be able to speak the most to. My thing about the combat, at least when it comes to the sword combat, and the thing that pissed me off the most is that the game was not it didn't let you have your own sort of combat style. And by that, I mean, like, yes, you could swap back and forth between like, oh, I'll drop a smoke bomb here and I'll enter into stealth and I'll go hide away. And like, you could do those things. You could switch back between stealth and like hand-to-hand sword combat or whatever. But when you were in the sword combat directly, like, you had no choice particularly when it came to how you had to dispatch certain enemy types. It'd be like, oh, here's a dude with a spear. I got to switch this one stance, and I have to take him out this one way, or else I will just basically not be able to break his defenses. And in fact, the game goes so far to where if you are not switching stances to take them down with this preferred stance that is best for them, it will legitimately pause the game even when you're 40, 50 hours into the game, and it'll be like, hey, by the way, did you know that against this enemy type, you should use this sword fighting stance? And it's like, yeah, I know, I've been playing this game for 50 hours now. Why are you telling me this? Like, it is very much regimented to want you to play that way. And I think that started to wear on me a little bit more as time went on. Like, it was very much rock, paper, scissors combat, like to the fullest degree. And it just, like, combat encounters did not feel engaging in any sense to me, because it was just like, okay, what enemy type is this? Okay, I gotta take him out this way. What enemy type is this? I gotta fight him this way. And I just swap back and forth between all the stances and take him out until everybody died. And that's not even to say it's all, I don't think it's bad. It was not engaging after a certain amount of hours. And why is there no lock on?
That was a big thing for me.
I mean, the lock-on thing, that's fine. Again, I'm not gonna say much more on it, but I really like the game. I think it's currently like number 3 on my top 10 list. I think the side stuff, you get rewarded for what you're doing. That's satisfying enough to me. The game looks great. The Win UI, it's cool. I think it had potential to be better, but it's still definitely cool. And yeah, I think when the combat works, it works really well, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. And yeah, the stuff with Jin in his whole characterization thing, I personally feel the opposite. I feel like that there were some things where you're just feeling the judgment of when his uncle said you can't be fighting that way, things like that. Again, nothing to a profound level, but definitely felt something there. And then yeah, I like the side characters. I like the world. I don't know. I think that it has very little negatives compared to its positives.
I personally went into this game kind of looking for a Scott said, an Assassin's Creed-esque game, the Assassin's Creed Japan that we never got. And I go into those open world games knowing this is going to be a very weird comparison, but kind of I used to go to Dynasty Warriors games where this is just my power fantasy, or this is, being a samurai, being invested in that. And current day, I listen to a lot of podcasts. It's a great thing to just turn your mind off. You have I think the different stances, I think, keep you a little bit more engaged and be like, oh, okay, this guy's coming towards me, so I need to change here. This guy's coming, it's more strategic, I feel, where I can see where it would be especially in recent years when we had more games let us do more things. I think that this is more of okay, you need to do it this way, but there's going to be other people coming towards you, so you're going to need to understand the tactics of, okay, so the spear guy's coming this way, and then that guy's coming over here, so let's change it out, just it's kind of like a Tony Hawk thing where you're doing the revert as you come down, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I really enjoyed just the world, and I enjoy the fact that I get to name my horse Sora, and I get to go around and be like, Sora, as a Kingdom Hearts fan. But yeah, I think it's a good, not great game.
Spoilers for that game. Rest in peace, Nobu. That was my horse.
Spoilers.
I said spoilers. You had a whole several months to play this game. Watch this video.
I still have to beat P5 Royal, but that's the whole thing.
Yeah, but yeah, we're still playing a bunch of games. I didn't get to finish Tsushima. I wish I didn't know that.
What are you talking about? You haven't finished every game that's come out this year? What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Cool. Ghost of Tsushima. I forget what we gave. I think an 8, 8.5.
I think Ryan gave it an 8, which is what I agree with, honestly. It's it's good. Everything it does is good. It just doesn't really stand out in such a way to be at the very, very top. I'd happily go back to it. I got my fill out of it. It's fine. It's good. That's it.
Yeah, and I feel like I complain about it the most, and I don't even think it's bad. I just think it's old or whatever. So cool. Paper Mario, the Origami King.
Origami.
The Origami Killer. Has anybody played this? I have it, but I haven't played it.
Played it.
You sound so devastated in saying so.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I had to review it, so.
Oh yeah, you
was
did
rough.
review it.
But yeah, I mean it's fine. The writing's good. The gameplay sucks. There's no reason to fight people. The boss fights are great, but I don't know. It's like the most blah game. I mean, I guess it's like you guys feel about Ghost of Shushu, or some of you feel about Ghost because like it's so blah. Like I wish if there was like a, I don't know, if there better combat or some reason to actually do the battles, I feel like it could be really good. But they don't want to make a
The lack of any
RPG
kind of
stuff.
progression really killed it. Again, just no experience, no reason to engage the battles. And I mean, if they're fine, they're fun. Well, not completely untrue, but it's also just like you're almost disincentivized by doing it unless you really, really enjoy it. And what I understand of it is most people are just like, it's fine.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun the first few times, but then you have to do it like 100 and 200 times, and they're the exact same every time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
Which was better?
Hey, stop it! Stop it!
You got it.
Sorry.
Stop it, Ricky.
Yeah, so I played through all of the Paper Mario games leading up to this because it gave me an excuse to get into the series. I didn't play 2000 Year Door because my save got fucking lost out of nowhere. But anyway, but it yeah, I think the writing is really good. I think the story is pretty good. Like I was kind of surprised. Yeah, the battle system. It's like again, like it's not great, but I still enjoyed it. Like I'm not like oh, this is just like terrible. I'm having a terrible time. I thought the origami stuff was really, really cool. I thought the puzzles in the dungeons were really cool. I'm trying to think about what else. Boss battles were really cool. Like I really
boss battles are good.
I mean, there's colored pencils as a boss. That seems cool to me.
I think it's really solid for what it is. And it actually like had some relatively surprising story beat moments as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, it's crazy that this like looks like and probably is a kid's game to some degree. I mean, not really, but like it's, younger people are going to play it, but then there's some moments that are just like, if I was a dad, I don't know if I could let my kid play it because
what?
Like, legitimately sad. Like I almost cried.
Hey kids, it's time to learn about death.
Yeah.
All right.
They have to learn about it sometime.
Can I say spoilers? Do we care?
Don't. I actually don't want to know personally.
Yeah, no. It's no. Yeah, it's worth saving.
Because I am gonna play this probably pretty soon.
Does blue colored pencil
I do know what it
confess
is.
its love for pink colored pencil? I need to know. Does blue colored pencil confess the love for pink colored pencil?
You're good. You're good
Tell
on
about
that front.
Tell about the green.
Okay.
And there is this really funny ongoing bit where like Luigi thinks he has the key to Peach's castle, but then it's the key that you actually need in that moment. It's really funny. He just shows up out of nowhere and he's just like, "Oh, I got this key to Peach's castle." It's just a completely wrong key, but it's the one that you were looking for the entire time. It's a pretty funny bit.
If nothing else, I am very excited to play this game just for the writing, which is a very strange reason to play a
Mario
anything.
game.
Yeah, anything that's not a visual novel, I guess, would be fall into that category. But cool, Paper Mario, it returned. Still not what we've been asking for, though. Just make the thing that we want. Nintendo. I almost said Mario, but I don't think Mario makes his own. games.
Mario.
I'm sorry.
Do
all
it.
All right, I'm sorry. All right.
Panzer Paladin's next on our list. I know Cam and Scott both played this. I know you guys said you didn't have a ton to say about it though, but yeah. Any brief thoughts on this one?
Really cool side-scrolling action platformer. I like. Kind of scratches that Mega Man itch.
Yep.
It's cool how you can make your own weapons and hit things with a hockey stick in Canada. It's a fun game. It's a really, really fun game. Really good soundtrack too.
Yeah, breaking the weapon, like the weapon break mechanic is cool. You get like a specific buff or you cast a certain spell. adds another layer to the combat and everything like that. It's definitely a solid, indie pick me up if you're looking for that type of experience.
Play it. It's good. If you're a fan of like those old school Mega Man side scrollers or action platformers, snag it. It's real good. Really good art style. They really nailed the like kind of mech style and the cutscenes that they did. Really, really good job. And it's just a lot of fun.
All right, cool. We gave it an 8. We also gave it an 8 to Carry On, which is the next game. This is Devolver's game where you're a monster and you eat people and you do stuff. It's like
Devolver's Katamari, if you will.
Yeah, it's like the thing. The game.
I would not go that far.
You did review this one, Charlie. So
I did. I really liked it. Honestly, it has a lot of really cool movement stuff, if that makes sense. Obviously, because it's not a traditional 2-dimensional game where you're kind of just jumping and platforming and that kind of thing, or moving like in a field, like in a Zelda kind of situation. You're basically this giant tentacle monster with teeth and other disgusting things, and you eat people, and that's basically the game. And it has one of the most satisfying sound designs like ever, because of the way that the tentacle, like, just it has so much small details that go into it that make it really cool and really satisfying and enjoyable to play, from the tentacles that just, like, popping when they, like, I don't know how to describe it, but when they touch the ceiling and then go away. I don't know how to describe it, but that's kind of thing. And then hearing like people scream or kind of react to you even being nearby, or using this power that you can do where you can just kind of make a bunch of noise. So I don't know. It's just like a lot of really, really cool stuff in there.
Yeah, I actually got to play this a couple days ago because it's on Game Pass, and I recently got the Kishi from Razer for my phone, so I can really play some xCloud games. And that was the game that I decided to play because I think that's like a perfect like on the go game that you can actually should just be able to play. So, which I think it's on the Switch, right? Has to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. But you can play it also on xCloud. And the short time that I had with it, I was having a blast with the momentum of the actual carry-on creature, the fact that he moves at a erratic pace around this level, and how fast it was from going from place to place. When interacting with humans in the game is pretty funny, the way that they respond to you, and the fact that you can flail them around, and sometimes if you don't kill them properly, they'll get right back up, which is pretty fun. The way that the character evolves over time, you have different abilities as well, I think is a lot of fun. And I'm very curious, because I heard it is a short game, so I'm excited to get through it. But definitely as just a quick, game that I think is pretty accessible, and the actual puzzle solving that I had to do wasn't nearly as complex. I'm wondering if it's going to be more later in the game, but otherwise, I actually think it's a fun game.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to piggyback off of something that you were saying about solving being hard, because there is a certain point in the game where it is next to impossible to progress. And genuinely, if that point was not in this game, I probably would have given it a higher score, because I kid you not, I spent like at least an hour just going in circles trying to figure this out. And I love like the Metroidvania style kind of discover and backtrack and that kind of thing. And firstly, there's no map, so I couldn't figure that out. But secondly, even if there was a map, I think it would be confusing. So just, I guess, buyer beware or downloader beware if you already have Game Pass. But that is probably one of the most annoying moments I've ever had, like, this year.
Fair enough. All right, I think that's it.
I was gonna say, I don't think anybody else has played it, but
definitely,
yeah, it is one of. I was gonna say it is one of those ones I've been meaning to actually download on my Xbox. So, hey, maybe after this is over. Fall Guys or Takashi's Castle for weird looking things.
You watch your mouth.
Great game.
Oh, you mean that Among Us clone, right?
Yes. Yeah, we should put Among Us on this quarter too, because I don't think anybody knew it existed prior to that. Ricky, you reviewed Fall Guys. You gave it 9.5. You said you'd be hard pressed to probably have more pure fun with any other game that came out this year. At least I think you said that in your review.
Why were you lying?
I mean, excuse me. I think I mean, I understand like some people have problems with it, like that. People don't like the team games. People don't like how it feels sometimes, but I think it nails what it's going for in the way of like being a weird Japanese game show. And I also think part of it is like it's very much a me game. Like there's things about the game that are, I don't think some people would feel the same way. So like for instance, it's very personal to me because like when my grandpa got cancer, we watched Takeshi's Castle and American Ninja Warrior all the time. So like this game is like playing that again. It was like playing that, so that was kind of cool. But then also like before I started doing this, I worked with kids a lot as a first as like a camp director and then as a PE teacher, and so my mind thinks about like creating games for kids, and so the way all the games are designed kind of like fits into that mindset in the way that like when you're designing a game for a group of kids, say there's like 60 kids, and I know this is a very specific example, and so it's only for me, but you can't just think of like the game is good because it's tag and like 40 kids are athletic and they like tag. You have to think about the kids who aren't athletic, the kids who, they use their brain more than their feet or whatever. You have to think about the kids who don't really want to even play, right? And so I think a lot of the games they put in there, even though games like the match game isn't fun for everybody, I think it helps give everyone a chance regardless of their skill level. And so like I really appreciate that. I know like that doesn't mean it's for everybody. And if you want to be super competitive, you probably hate that mode and you probably hate the team modes. But like when my wife plays that game, she loves it because she sucks at video games, but she has a chance to win. I mean, she's not going to win the whole thing. I mean, maybe she'll win the whole thing. I don't know. Probably. But I think that's really cool that they've like nailed that idea. And like, I get it if you don't like it. It's not, unfortunately, I haven't kept up with it because there's this thing called FIFA and I can't stop playing it. But I think it's really good. I will say it has been surpassed on my personal game of the year list already by 2 games, but it's definitely still up there for me. It's number 3 right now.
Otto, could you say it's also for the kids who are bullies?
Yeah.
Yeah, those
it's not just for kids who are bullies, it's for adults who you're not really a bully as an adult, you're just a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit.
That's the clip.
I think Fall Guys is absolutely brilliant. It is certainly the most video game I've played all year. It will grab your brain, the part of your gray matter that has all the endorphins and the good chemicals in it, and it'll just beat it up until it's all released and it's drained like a raisin. It is. I think when you are playing with a group of friends, it is impossible to play Fall Guys and not have fun. I played it solo for from the beginning, and now I can't exactly do that anymore. It's not as fun. You don't have the same group experience. I think it does its best as a multiplayer game first and foremost. And that its biggest challenge so far has just been stagnation, which the developer Mediatonic, I hope I'm getting that correct, has just addressed immediately. I mean, but before Season 2 even launched, there are now completely random variants of almost every single stage. The match game is still in there. That's a big mistake. Just take it out. Oh my God, no one wants to play that.
But some people do.
They're lying. They're lying to themselves. I don't know.
The other game in Fall Guys.
Oh, God, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Terrible.
But I have to agree with Ricky though. It's been passed up by another game. It was when it came out, and for that first month when it is all that I played, if I was by myself or if I was playing a game with friends, it was my game of the year. But that was a while back, and now something else has taken that spot. But I think it is still for anyone else a fantastic and worthy personal contender.
I second that.
I remember
Yeah.
I played Fall Guys once, and I was like, man, this is a fun game. I could see myself playing, and I never played it again.
It's kind of how I've been. Yeah.
And I don't know why. I just didn't. I just didn't play it again. Like, I enjoyed the time I did play, but it's just like, okay, cool.
I like bounced right off of it.
Yeah, I just have issues with it from a competitive standpoint. I think that Ricky's example is like really is fair and touching, but just like so many things that like not even like the physics, just like things that like screw me over that isn't even in my control. The team games suck. None of them are fun. Like, there's still like issues with like the tail, like grabbing the tail and stuff like that, where people are like not even like close to you and then they grab you, or then like I've seen myself grab people countless times where they have the tail and I'm literally grabbing them and then the tail does not go to me and then I lose, and it's just like it just ruins the competitiveness and the fun of the game for me. Like originally it was like on the lower half of my top 10, but then after I kept dealing with the same issues over and over and over again. I just like completely knocked it off, and I was just like, yeah, I can't have this on my list personally. I think it's like I love how much of a success it is from a social media and like marketing standpoint in that sense, but like for game of the year, no, I'm sorry, not for me.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I just think like it's not a competitive game. I mean, no, and maybe it is to you, but it's trying to ape like the Takeshi's Castle thing, and in that, like the way they've done that is exactly what they're doing. Like the best player never wins Takeshi's Castle, so they're not trying to do that. And I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, because if that's how you want to play it, you should play it that way. I'm just saying like what they're aiming for, they did it almost perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that if they didn't make crowns a currency to get all the cool stuff in the store and things like that. So it's basically just like, oh, let's just hope that I win due to the based off the example that you just gave, that like it's like, oh, the best player doesn't like always win or whatever. And then and then it's just like, and you use those crowns specifically to get like these really cool collaboration suits. But if you hardly win, then it's just like, oh, well, I have to keep playing in a competitive game where I don't really have full control of myself winning. And, again, like the issues that I've said before, it just takes the fun out of it for me.
I mean, like, I don't think you're wrong, and I'm not saying like you're not playing the game wrong or anything, but like I do not care about the cosmetics. Like it does not matter to me. I just care about having fun in the game, and every time I play it, have a good time. I like the team games. I think the team games are good, except for like maybe 2 of them. And I understand like people don't like them because they don't have full control over whether they win, and that makes perfect sense to me, because like people who play games, they want to have that. But personally, I'm not a competitive gamer. I don't care about being competitive. I just want to have a good time. And that's what Fall Guys is.
I can agree with that. With Cam's point, at least on the point of the importance that the game kind of imposes on crowns, because it's totally it's a great thing if you don't care about cosmetics at all, because that opens you up to a lot more games. But for me, and I think a large group of other people, having that skin that you want will make you want to play it more. Like if I was genuinely disappointed when I wasn't able to get the Bulletkin skin from Enter the Gungeon, I was genuinely sad, and I didn't play the game for like a week or 2 after that, because I was just like, oh fuck, I'm so tight about that. And that's something that they're addressing in season 2. You'll be able to get more crowns. It is lame that they didn't. That they kind of were like, okay, since 1 out of every 60 people playing this is going to get a crown, it's okay if we make these things, these full costumes, like cost 10. That is something that was totally misjudged, and what I'm saying is, relating back to crowns, I don't think it totally affects the fun of the game at all times. If you're able to get like even like losing sometimes, I don't totally mind because you can just hop right back in and it's so fast.
Yeah. Again,
Games
like, I don't think
silly
anyone's
that it
wrong.
doesn't really matter to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has excuse me, it has little issues and things like that, but on the whole, what they've achieved here is pretty remarkable. It was a phenomenon for good reason. It is a very good game and a standout. So, yeah, hopefully they can fix it and tweak it and address any stagnation issues. But yeah, I think we can't ignore how impressive it was at just the right time, really.
Yeah,
it's especially crazy since it's an Among Us clone.
I know, right?
I mean, the one I haven't played a lot of this, so gameplay wise I can't speak to a lot, but the one thing I did want to throw out there is just like it's crazy how quick they've been able to adapt and kind of move with the massive audience that they have generated for this, because this went from being a game that I don't think anybody knew was coming out the week it was coming out, except for Ricky, who had been talking about it for months leading up to it coming out, and then all of a sudden the whole world was like, I mean, Ricky knew that this was gonna, I think you felt like this was gonna blow up before it even came out. You're like, this is gonna be big.
I wrote about it for like a year and kept saying it was gonna be great. And then I saw articles when it came out, they're like, this game came out of nowhere. And I was like, I guess you don't read DualShockers.
Yeah, like
Nostradamus goes unnoticed.
But the past couple games that have blown up to like massive levels, like you think about your Fortnites and your PUBGs and stuff like that. PUBG is probably a little bit different, but like Fortnite was like, it blew up, and then it's like, okay, well, it blew up and it was a product of Epic, which was already $1 billion company, so they can just immediately start pumping a bunch of resources into this. And this, yes, it has the backing of Devolver Digital, but Devolver is not pumping money into this, I don't think, in a direct sense.
Devolver's only like 2 people anyway.
Yeah, Devolver's just a publishing label that has some, I want to say, some like prestige behind it or whatever. I don't know. Whenever people say it's a Devolver game, yeah, people give games a second look if they've got that Devolver stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's really, I mean, other than that, like, yeah, like the fact that this small studio of, what is it, like 10 or 15 people, I think, that made this game potentially, like, have picked up and ran with this game and have been doing so great on I mean, we've talked about the marketing and the social media push behind the game too. Like, they've just really done great stuff. Like Otto said, they're already fixing a lot of the stuff for season 2 that people have complained about. Like, they really picked this up and run with it, and it seems like they're making good changes that they're on a broader scale that I don't think they ever in a million years would have expected to have. And that's been cool. So anyway, Fall Guys. It's a video game.
Good game, not game of the year.
Gabe, I'm looking at our review list. I just wanted to throw this out there because I didn't write it down initially, but since you're here, you reviewed Post Void for us. I know you're the only one who reviewed this on this panel.
Post Void.
Do you want to talk about it at all?
It is a very difficult game to get through if you can't handle like flashing lights and you can't handle a lot of stuff coming at you at once. But if you can handle, like, I don't know, what's a good horror game, like PT or something? It's not a horror game. It's like a retro shooter, but it's just so damn speedy that, like, the speed alone was just the striking point of it. I haven't played a lot of retro shooters, so I don't have a great back of knowledge to compare it to. But yeah, I mean, like, if you're into that kind of game, like, I would say it's so distilled that you're gonna get a lot more out of that, like, $2 than you would out of Fall Guys or something else.
Yeah, like, this was one that was totally not on my radar personally. I don't know if anybody else here is even aware of it. I feel like Chris is more plugged into stuff like this, and maybe he would know about it more than anybody else. But yeah, this is like
it's this one.
You're gonna laugh at how I found it. So I was on Steam, and it just came up on the Steam deals, and I just downloaded it because it was $2, and I played it for like an hour, and I was like, I need to review this. I need someone to pay me to review this. I need to just submit a review somewhere, and so that's how that happened.
Yeah, it looks like your review was excellent. Yeah, you gave it an 8.5. It seems really, like wild, like old school Doom mixed with a bunch of like some roguelike elements potentially and stuff like that. Like, don't you upgrade based on like certain runs you do and things like that, or Like you have certain upgrade paths and or things you can choose to do, something like that.
So it's all
if I
randomized.
remember right.
It's not like Hades or something where you progress through the game. It's just you die, you start over. But every time that you like beat a level, you choose an upgrade, and then that continues to the next level. But the whole point of the game is to like just die until you get used to the levels, and then you can like get good enough to make it to the end. And it's just very like trippy and psychedelic, and the music is like post-punk music, so it's like I don't know, just the whole audio-visual experience of it is striking, and it left a really good impression on me because I don't play that kind of game regularly, but how distilled it was and just how fun it was made an impact on me.
I just
looks really
cool. Steam now, and it's overwhelmingly positive there. And watching the trailer, I'm just like, whoa, okay, yeah, I'll watch this space. I'll have to try it out.
$2 or whatever that converts to in.
So it's $3, but it was on sale.
$4.50. It's $4.50 Australian. So,
yeah, Post Void. I figured I'd throw that out there because I was looking at a review list and I was like, oh yeah, Gabe's here. Maybe he can throw that out there. The next game on our actual list, though, is one that I don't imagine we'll talk about for very long. But Fast and Furious Crossroads.
Yeah.
Damn! By Namco. And when I hit up the PR people and asked for a copy of this game, they almost sounded surprised that we wanted to review it. We gave it a 3, so I'm not sure it's going to win Game of the Year. But Ricky, do you have anything pressing you?
Game of the Year, a true underdog story.
It is so bad. It is so bad. But
why is it so bad?
Like it controls. I don't even know how to describe how it feels to control, because it's like, I think in my Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, I described it as like trying to control a turd driving down the highway. But I mean, it's so terrible. And then like it looks, I don't know why, but I was watching footage of the Fast and Furious mobile game from 2013. And I think that looks better than this does, which is saying something. But I will say, like, it has some good ideas of like how to do a Fast and Furious game. It just doesn't nail any of them. Like they have a bunch of stuff where it level like they have all these like cool set pieces. Like, does anyone care about? I mean, this one, does anyone care about getting spoiled?
No.
In fact, I think it's better if you spoil it, so we get the actual good parts of it. I know the one
major spoiler with the car, and that's it. But go ahead.
Yeah, same.
Like the last mission is like this rocket ship is like launching in in Florida, and you're like racing it down to try to jump on it, and then Vin Diesel jumps out of his car and lands on the rocket ship and stops it from launching into space and murdering everyone.
This isn't Game of the Year. I'm sorry.
Vin Diesel just wants you to feel like he does. You know what I'm saying?
Also,
he's the wheelman.
They got Peter Stormare in this game, and I don't know how. How did they do that? He's like the main villain, and it's like,
that's awesome.
It makes no sense that he's in this game. I mean, I guess Vin Diesel's in it, but his name, like, he should be. Like, Peter Stormare is like a legit actor. Why is he in there?
Yep.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
As someone who has seen none of the Fast and Furious movies, would I have any idea what's going on? Like, in my mind, I thought it was a drag racing movie.
Seriously?
Right?
They started like that.
That's what it started. They started like drag racing Point Break.
Hold on. It is 2020. You've not seen any of them?
Bro, I've not really either.
What?
Oh, man.
Y'all are fucking this now.
We gotta fix this.
Logan, I'm coming over. This is driving 3 hours.
Oh, there's a bunch of there's a lot of movies that would probably make you all aghast. That
everybody's got lists like that.
Everybody's got the list, yeah.
Come
on.
I'll say it. Godfather. I continue.
Have you played Need for Speed Hot Pursuit?
Yes.
Scott? Okay, so it's like that except really bad, because your car has like combat abilities. Like it has the ability to shunt, which means your car can like jump to the side and ram other cars off the side of the road. But it doesn't really work. It's really bad. And then it has like Vin Diesel, I think, has a grappling hook that he can shoot out. And like that's the thing is like some of the ideas are
like
sweet.
Spy Hunter.
Yeah,
Dude,
but
the
some of
movies
the,
are Spy Hunter. It's so good.
yeah, but some of the ideas are sweet because you know how in Grand Theft Auto 5, like you could press a button and switch between characters.
Mhm.
So you can do that in this game and some of the races. And if it was in a good game, it would be awesome because like you're switching between characters to be able to use different abilities to take out the people you're racing against. And you're not really racing; you're trying to like take them down before they. I think he's like getting some government missile so he can send a bioweapon and blow up the world. Or it's ridiculous. As all Fast and Furious is, but this one is just it's there. Also, there's like this. It's like a car cult that you're chasing, and they're like they've been like alive for 1,000 years or something stupid like that.
What?
And
As someone who's
sounds
seen them
great.
all, I'm shocked
You're making
right
this
now.
sound amazing, but I've
Yeah.
seen it. I've seen it played. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know that, yeah. You list all this and it sounds like, how could this possibly be bad? And it is. It
It's
just
so
is.
bad.
None of it is executed
Car
well.
cult that has existed for
technical
1,000
mess.
years.
I really want to play this game now.
Listen, guys, I'm just saying this game was the last thing revealed at the Game Awards last year. So I mean,
I don't
10
know
out
how
of
that's
10,
possible.
maybe.
Logan, do you think if we email them back, it's like, hey, we surprisingly want more codes? Do you think that's weird?
Yeah, probably.
Damn it.
They probably
Try
have.
and get codes because it's like more than full price on Steam for like a 4-hour.
It's like
Yeah.
I went to the store the other day. It was on the shelf for $60. I was like, oh my
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't know
It's
about that
probably
one.
selling really well, I bet.
God.
Also, it's worth pointing out that I think we got the code on the day it released, and then
We got it. Yeah, we may have got
Sounds
it the day
legit.
of or a little late.
Yeah. And I started playing it that night, and like then the next day was a Friday, and I tried to log on and play the multiplayer, and I sat in the multiplayer lobby by myself for 2 hours.
I didn't know it was
and no one ever
multiplayer.
joined, which this was a
It's
day
dead.
after release.
Never get in. You will never get in.
So I don't know what the multiplayer is like. I put that in the review. I was like, it could be great. I don't know because no one's playing it.
I literally don't know a single person, even on YouTube, who has actually played a game of it. It just never happened.
Let's do the. Let's go to Twitch right now and see if anyone is actually streaming Fast and the
Let's
Furious.
all buy a copy and play together.
That's what Cam, that's
Dude,
what I
I
was
will
gonna say.
let's
was
play
like,
We could be the
Right
DualShockers
now.
car cult. We'll be
Yeah, so we're
rain for
ending the
1,000
stream
years.
now, right? And we're just
Whoa.
gonna pick up
A
this.
single person is streaming Fast and Furious Crossroads for 0 viewers.
Is it
Everyone
Dan
give
Ryan?
it
What a
follow.
legend.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's raid that guy. Shout out to that guy.
IR_622 sounds like a bot name. Doing the Lord's work, taking down car cults.
This is definitely one of the more enjoyable games we've talked about, but I'll trust
the rocket
Ricky's.
ship mission.
I'll trust Ricky's judgment and not play this.
It sounds like Saints Row did it better.
This is where we figure out we've been the car cult the entire time.
There you go. The story is actually. It was
Man,
actually
I didn't
about
know
us.
cars
I've been
could get as
accused of
fast
that.
as rocket ships.
God, I just want to know if there's a tuna sandwich in the game. Anyways, continue.
Let's talk about Mortal Shell, and I think I know Cam said he had some thoughts on this one. I really don't have a lot to say on this one. I will say, so it's obviously a Dark Souls clone, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's derivative to say it's like Dark Souls. This is like the most Dark Souls clone that there has been, at least from a presentation standpoint. And I talked about this in my review, but I think the thing that really not irked me, but like the thing I couldn't shake is that there's like the whole meme with Dark Souls, like, oh, Hidetaki Miyazaki can't stand not putting swamps in any of his freaking games. Then the main central hub in this entire game is a freaking swamp. And it was like the perfect encapsulation of like everything that like, okay, yeah, you decided to make a Dark Souls game, so much so that you even made the central hub the one thing that everybody memes on. Like that was the perfect distillation of like every idea that they were borrowing from Dark Souls, like almost in its purest form. Other than that, they do legitimately introduce some interesting mechanics. I like I go back and forth on like how they divvied up like the shells themselves as like different classes, and they have different play styles and stuff like that. My biggest issue with that is that like it makes like if you get like an hour or two into the game, and you're like, I don't like this character anymore. I would like to play as a different play style. You've then poured so much currency and money and stuff into one single shell, and then you have to basically, it's like you're respecing and starting from scratch if you want to switch to another. They don't really transition between one another. So in that sense, I didn't really like it, and I didn't like how the upgrade currencies and stuff were tied to the specific shells you would find in the game. Other than that, though, there are interesting ideas here, and I don't think the game is bad. And honestly, for the number of people that made this game, like mechanically, like how it feels on a Souls combat level is like really, really impressive that they have been able to recreate the high quality, like of the mechanics that are found in the FromSoft games. Other than that, though, yeah, just the presentation and the general vibe of the game, like the dark fantasy vibe, it just felt way like when you're so similar to the thing you're clearly trying to borrow ideas from, like why not just play the thing that is good, like the thing that is better, like clearly, like it. And again, there are some new ideas they throw in here, but like at no point are those new ideas anything that I'm like, oh yeah, you should totally play the entire game just for that. That said, it is shorter, so I don't know, it's like maybe 15 hours tops or something like that compared to 40 or 60 or whatever. So
yeah, the answer to your question is Mortal Shell doesn't have spiders in it, so I can actually play Shell.
There you go.
So yeah, this is my first Souls-like, and I basically echo everything that Logan said. It very much is trying to be its own Dark Souls. I think that, yeah, I really enjoyed the combat. I've only been the first boss I ran into, and I kind of just dropped it for there. But like, it is one of the few games that I wasn't like planning, or like I wasn't like anticipating in any way, that I picked up that I plan on going back to finish because of how much I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's definitely not like a game of the year contender, but I think it's a solid like 8 out of 10 game personally.
Yeah, and the I didn't mention the hardening thing, like the whole hardening your shell thing.
Is really cool.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. My biggest downside is that you can definitely cheese the whole game a little bit more, because when you have that on like a 3-second cooldown, you can make yourself impervious every 3 seconds. So boss fights, if you just take them at a snail's pace, you can really not have that many issues as long as you keep distance between yourself and just make sure you have that on a constant cooldown whenever you go into attack. So you can it's definitely less like skill reliant in that sense. But yeah, like overall, I think the hardening mechanic is cool though. And I thought that was like the best twist they put on it. But yeah, it's not bad. Again, like I think I said in my review, like if you are desperate for some sort of Souls-like game this year, like that'll definitely do the job for you.
I might just re-download Dark Souls 3 and just call it a gimme.
That would be my suggestion.
Thanks.
Do that. That is a much better game. Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't think any of us have really played it here. This was one that somebody, I forget who reviewed it.
Rachel. I thought
Rachel reviewed it. Yeah, Rachel reviewed it. She loved it. She gave it a 9. It's like one of the highest scored games of the year, like across the board. I felt like it was worth mentioning just in passing that she really liked it. Again, I don't know how many other people on the staff have played it, but this just felt like a really important one.
You can fly by the life-size Gundam.
Yeah,
in Japan.
That's cool.
One of my friends flew into my house. So that was
I tried to find my parents' house on it, but I couldn't even take off. And then
So Microsoft Flight Simulator did one thing that was really interesting. It had the wildfire smoke from the West Coast, so you could fly into the wildfire smoke and like fly through it and like see where the wildfires were live. And that was something I didn't personally experience, but somebody on my Twitter feed was like, "Look what you can do! You can like go into the wildfires." And I was just like sitting inside the smoke, just watching from my phone, like, I wish I would do that right now.
I saw that. I think somebody else did that for one of the hurricanes that happened like a month or two back as well. Like any like major storm systems, like you can that are happening around the world. You can
it's actually
fly
mapped.
into. It's pretty wild what they've been able to do. Like this is
a great piece of tech.
This is the best example of the whole cloud tech stuff I think they've been pushing over the past few years. Like this is This is what Crackdown 3 should have been, everybody.
Damn.
Wow.
That's true. I haven't thought about it that way, but you're so right.
That Azure Tech. Oh no.
Thank you,
Oh
Azure.
man, that hurts.
Crackdown 3. Why was I excited for that game once upon a time? Spiritfarers next up on the list. And I know Cam loved this one.
Yeah. Spiritfarer is a game of the year contender, straight up. It is absolutely fantastic. I don't like management sims. I don't like Animal Crossing. I don't like management sims. I played this at PAX East, and I was like, this game, like, I just felt that this game was going to be special, and it ended up being very special. It's a hopefully unique game of its genre of games, period. That I couldn't compare Spiritfarer to any game. If you're like, oh, what's Spiritfarer like? I'm like, it's a management sim, but outside of that, I can't tell you what it's like. The art style is like beautiful. The music is fan-fucking-tastic. You could cry 10 times in that game and be like, oh, you only cried 10 times? Like that's how good that game is. It has I gave it a 9.5. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 was because it wasn't a finished build of what I reviewed. And I played it on PC, so it wasn't like the Switch version that came out or whatever the day my review went for it. But I did run into a few bugs. And I just feel like at certain points it kind of gives you a little difficulty on knowing where you need to go to progress. But outside of that, I think that game is absolutely fan-fucking-tastic, and it should be on everyone's Game of the Year like contender list. I think everyone should play it, regardless if you like the genre or not. Like, please play this game.
Yeah, it's on my list. I'm looking right now because I want to play more xCloud games, and it's an xCloud game, so I'm excited to delve into that. Maybe later this afternoon or this night, whatever time it is. You don't know what time it is.
Time is a flat circle.
What is time?
It's Tool time.
Hey.
It's an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of Cam's sentiments. I think it's a very beautiful game in both its artwork and its story it weaves. I'm very early on in the game still. It's just a very nice, chill game to jump into. Like, you don't expect going into it expecting like a Hades, which we'll talk later on. Where you're doing a bunch of combat. It is a management sim at its base. You are trying to, if you don't know the story, basically you're the Charon trying to pass people.
Carrion?
The Carrion, thank you. I know I botched that up as I did it.
Like,
Anyway,
the Gobi monster.
No. You had it right, Nick.
Okay. I was like, Carrion? I was like, okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, it's such a beautiful game. Like, there's literally a button to hug someone. Like, it is super wonderful. I think it does a similar thing to that Animal Crossing did earlier this year, where it just kind of fills you with wholesome joy in a time that is so whatever the fuck 2020 is. But yeah, I 100% agree with Cam's sentiments, and play it on xCloud. It's a great game to play. Personally, I played with the DualShock 4 because that's how I like playing side-scrolly type games. But yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
it has some of the best looking like hand-drawn animation I have seen in the game.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Like, that's what took me. Like, the art style is fantastic, but just how smooth everything is animated is what really blew me away.
Fantastic.
Like, her casting her fishing rod, or the cat playing, or how the orb transforms. It's
just
so
the idle
fluid.
animations. The idle animations alone are.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, and I also
I'm waiting for it to become canon that the girl from Spiritfarer is the same Charon in Hades. I'm waiting for that crossover.
Okay, I like that.
I also want to add that, like, I think that this game, like, the way it deals with the themes of accepting death and moving on and things like that, like, no other game has done it as well that I've played. And there was one other major thing I wanted to bring up, and it just like it has all the things that like you might be worried about it not having, because it's a management sim where you're not like at a same place, you're traveling to different places. Well, if there are things on your ship, it's like, oh, what if I run out of these resources? And like, oh, well, they have something in the world that fits that, and like, and doesn't make, you have to grind your way to get the resources you need to build whatever you want, or to make whatever dish you need, or anything like that. And then there was one other thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, there are things in this game that they make you do to take care of the passengers in ways that I just never would have expected. And like when it did, I literally like was in awe and had to sit like just kind of like think, fuck, this is rough. Like this is like
You're talking
so
about the
sad.
hedgehog, aren't you?
Yes, the hedgehog.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, oh my God. And then yeah, and specifically like I don't want to go into spoilers, but like, Celia was watching me review part of this game, and I basically told her about the hedgehog at that point, and she saw me take her to the portal, and I turn around after that, like because they always have like a one-on-one conversation about like their like kind of like last thoughts and their last like if they have any regrets, things like that. And I turn around and like Celia's face is like just drenched, just wet, like completely wet. And she didn't watch me grow this relationship with her or anything. I just told her, "Hey, this is what happened." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then that conversation happens, and then I turn around and she's just weeping. And I'm like, I've never like it's just the way that this game shows like gets your emotions out of you is just I've never seen before.
It definitely
really
has that
is just-
Pixar magic, for
yeah,
sure.
it really is just incredibly special. And I definitely think that like it should be a game of the year contender for sure.
Okay, this game is good, but it is way too long. I do play a lot of management sims, and it's so annoying that there's no chances to get automation in the stuff you're doing, so you have to go to it every time. And then like the boat stops all the time to make you go do you don't have to do them, you can skip them, but having to stop your boat and stop your progression to go do like if I want to go like when there's like every character has their own little mechanic where one of them's like catching stars, one of them's like catching bugs,
Yeah.
and the boat stops, and so it stops you progress. You have to go and do that, and then you go back and start your boat. And every single time I was like, oh my God, can this game just get over with? Like the story is great, it looks great. As a game, like the gameplay part, I hated it. It's so long.
I just
And
I have to lean in more with Ricky, I'm afraid. Like this game is really special. I felt like the longer it went on, the more I fell out of love with it. Especially because a lot of the later characters, I feel they weren't as well realized. They didn't have as meaningful. Like I think it peaked with because I took Gwen to the portal first and bawled. All right, that was amazing. Nothing really came quite like that again, and things like again the hedgehog lady, that was interesting. There's a lot of really good, powerful moments in that, but there's also just a lot of tedium, a lot of lack of things like that. And
I don't know. I feel I feel like the things with like the gameplay things. Like I see what you mean. I like personally like didn't find it that much of a nuisance. But I also feel like some of the things that you're like that are criticizing is just kind of like a general issue with like that I find with a lot of like all management sim games. But I don't know. And like I don't know, the characters. I don't know. I disagree. Like I think all the characters like had like because there are characters in that game that you're like meant to dislike, and for me I think that they it's one of those for me it was one of those things like this character like not like people are flawed and have different perspectives in ways that like even though I will never agree with you, that's just like how it is. That's just like what they're going. That's just something that they're never going to change in that way. And yeah, I don't know. I think I liked all the characters. I mean, again, like some more than others, obviously, but I don't know. I agree to disagree on that end.
I mean, like it was in my top 5 after the first couple of hours, and now it is off my top 10.
That is where I'm at as well.
Like
the longer it went on, I eventually just bounced off it. Like I tried, I really did, but eventually just, it felt like it peaked early with those characters, as I mentioned, and then it just gave me less and less reason to care, both mechanically and as the story went on. I didn't have as strong a connection. I didn't feel it was quite as quality, and eventually the grievances just built up, and I really couldn't continue. And that was my problem with it. Like I really wanted to love this game. I wanted so bad to love this game, and I do in a lot of ways, but like it couldn't carry it through to the end. So it's worth experiencing. I would 100% say people should experience it, but like, I just, it is. As much as I want to, I can't put it at the very top. That's
I mean, to interject one thing real quick, I remember from just a top-down perspective when I looped Cam in to do the review on this one too, and I remember telling you, I was like, "Hey, you want to review Spiritfarer?" And you're like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I was like, "Okay." PR told me it's like a 40-hour game. You're like, "What?" I remember that taking. I remember you being kind of surprised by that because I think it's like, how long did it take you? Like 30 to 40 hours?
35
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this thing that's also nice that you don't have to escort every character to the bridge if you don't want to, before you finish the game. And yeah, I don't know. I just agree to disagree. I don't really know what else to say. I think that the game was consistently great throughout. Again, I think I would say that some of the first characters that you interact are stronger, but I also feel like that not all of them, but a fair number of them, they stick around for quite a long time too. They like that. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. Again, I think all the characters were great from what I experienced. They all were different and had different really distinct personalities. Whether I really liked them or not. Because I specifically like Giovanni. Like obviously, if you met Giovanni, no one likes Giovanni. But I also didn't really like Gwen, who was still his best friend. Like she just rubbed me the wrong way. But when she still left, I was super sad and I was super emotional.
Funnily enough, Giovanni I feel is better realized than a lot of the other characters. Not a good character, in the traditional way, but absolutely well realized. So I get that, but again,
I agree to disagree. I mean,
I completely understand where you're coming from, and again, I just wish I could feel the same. I really do. So I get it.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat.
I think. So before we move on, the one thing I want to say about this game, kind of a funny aside. I'm glad the game has resonated with people and that people like it, because the one thing that stood out to me about this game when I realized it was coming out was that this was the game that followed the Keanu Reeves segment last year at E3.
God, yes.
And I remember when they snap cut from Keanu being on stage and them showing that trailer to the next game, and it was this. I was like, wow, I feel bad for that video game. For it to have found an audience and have done well. I'm like,
I didn't know that was the case until I played the demo on the Steam Fest and did my impressions article for that. And that was one of the standouts there. That immediately got it on my attention. Because as you say, I wouldn't want to be the one that follows that announcement.
Because I remember, I just distinctly remember sitting in the theater, and everybody in the theater itself is coming down from seeing Keanu, and here's this boat management sim coming on screen. And it was just a very funny dichotomy So the fact that people like the game and the fact that it is this good, I legitimately want to play. The problem is there's too many freaking good indie games on Switch that I would like to pick up and play through.
I've got more that aren't even listed for our discussion. So
Hades is down here that I want to get to soon as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a brief break here. We will be back in a second. I think we're going to just break on our end, get some more drinks and eat some food and stuff like that. And when we come back, we will be picking back up with Battletoads, and we will go from there. So see you soon. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our second part of our third quarter game of the year discussion. So where we left off was at Battletoads. Did Rare to make this? I don't know. Rare.
They have something to do with it. They're in the credits. But that's
Yeah. There's a new Battletoads, which is weird. The fart, stinker, and rash, and pimple, and whatever all the Battletoads names are. They're really bad names. Those people are back, and they are in a beat 'em up, which I know just from watching this afar, people had very split takes on. I don't know. Has anybody here played it by chance? You have Cam and you have Mario. Where'd you guys fall?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Cam go first because he's probably played it more than me. I played it on xCloud.
Yeah, I finished it last night actually. I've been slowly progressing through it. That's kind of like one of my least important games I still want to play this year. I really like Battletoads. I definitely don't think it should be a high scored game per se. But it's one of the funnest games I've played this year for sure. I think the game is really funny, and I would really love a TV show based because there's a lot of cutscenes in the game. And I think the humor is really funny. There's a good variety in the type of games that you do. There's the beat 'em ups, and there's the bikes, and then there's one where you're basically shredding on a sleigh type thing down all the it's like an obstacle course type thing, and you're grinding on things. And it's and then there's a Galaga section as well and things like that. So just a really cool variety of games, and again, really funny. Again, it's definitely in no way, shape, or form a game of the year contender, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and for it being a pretty good, solid game, I definitely want a sequel. So
yeah, and my general experience, because again, it's me experimenting with xCloud and be able to play the game, and it runs really well on xCloud, by the way. For a beat 'em up, they need some precision, but basically the presentation of the game is, in my opinion, really fantastic. The way that it looks and the way that the animations go from attacks, and how I think the different toads actually feel very different from each other. There's one that's actually, I think, that has more faster hits, and the one's a little bit more of a heavy hitter. So that's what I found interesting about it. And when you play by yourself, because I was just testing it, you can switch out of between all three of them. So you can go in and out of them. The one thing that I think that would probably be really awesome about it, and that's what I kind of want to devolve more into it, is playing it as a multiplayer game. That to me seems like where the game's going to shine more. In terms of also presentation, I kind of want a cartoon of this. The writing was actually a lot of fun. The designs, like I said, across the board in terms of enemies and even the toads themselves are pretty fun. So I wouldn't mind more of this. I mean, I'm going to progress more through it, I think, later this weekend. But ultimately, yeah, I from what the little I have touched on it, I'm kind of enjoying it. So I don't know if it's going to be a game of the year, obviously. I think I want to give more Streets of Rage 4 more love than I did earlier. But ultimately, I am enjoying my time with this. I think it's another successful game that Xbox has produced along with its studios that I think is actually worth looking into. So
definitely, I think the animation looks really cool. I think the art style looks cool. That said, I don't really know why people like Battletoads in the first place. So if you do more,
that's nostalgia mostly. But yeah,
more power to you if you do. But yeah, I enjoy the Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibes that this is giving off. Even though they censored the hot villain lady, and that makes me mad because I'm a gamer.
This is definitely something you'd watch on WB. So I am really cool, really hyped on it.
That gets me hyped.
Yeah.
WB. They still have that. I mean, that's not a channel anymore, I guess. So
No,
No.
I was there. I was there when Kids WB went off.
I was there when that frog was the mascot, and I remember that.
That's
Hello,
right.
Ireland. No.
So that's our first Microsoft game. Second Microsoft game. So we added this kind of last second. Nick said he wanted to talk about Grounded briefly. So Grounded's still in early access. Obsidian is working on this. Very small team at Obsidian, all things. How are you finding this so far, Nick?
I am really enjoying it. This is a game that I think we saw first at one of the Xbox press conferences.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And I love that aesthetic. I love being able to go like have that shrunken down world. There's something about that I've always found fascinating. And I think this does that same thing like Battletoads did for the Saturday morning cartoon for like the overall feelings that I get of watching that movie. And it's so fun with friends. Again, it's a real short game right now because of early access, but it is very fun to just kind of hang out with friends. And there's an arachnophobia mode, so that makes it a little bit better. But yeah, I just really enjoy it.
Oh no, someone fell asleep. Who disappeared?
It was Gabe.
Gabe.
No.
Yeah, I think Gabe just turned his camera off briefly.
Oh, his
Okay.
camera just turned.
There we go.
Hey, it's okay. That works.
Yeah, it's okay.
Has anybody else played Grounded by chance?
I played the demo again during the Steam Fest, so it's
Okay.
a little less complete than the one that is currently in early access, but most of the bones are still there. And yeah, I thought this is a pretty good survival game.
Yeah,
That's all
I'm
I
not-
got at the moment.
And I'm not usually into survival games. I think that this kind of does a good job of easing you into an actual like survival game and make it fun. And for the most part, like I know I'm not the target audience for most survival games, but I don't feel that most of those games like have a fun, jovial vibe to them that has a through line that makes you want to do the survival aspects of the game. And I think that this just is a fun, nice aesthetic. Just kind of lose yourself in with a couple of friends.
It's definitely one I've got my eye on as like a fan of Subnautica and such. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. It looks good, but yeah.
There you go. Murdad did like an early access review for that. He's a fan of it so far. He just says he hopes they expand on like the mainline story campaign.
The story seems very interesting. I think that it's going to be really interesting to see where that goes and how it progresses as a overall game.
Cool. Tell me why. Again, another Microsoft joint of sorts, even though this is Don't Nod's newest narrative focus game. Anybody play this one?
I absolutely love this game. Don't Nod has done such a great job over the past couple of years just honing in on what they do great, which is just story-focused games and making you care about characters. And I think that this is the best writing that they've done. They've definitely touched upon some things that I even have less like known about trans culture and stuff like that. I think that it is very beautiful. Like it just a story about, you know, going back to your hometown, you know, and trying to deal with the trials and tribulations of everything that comes your way. I'm not going to spoil anything that's at the beginning of the game. I mean, at the beginning of the game, the start of the game is you killed your mother. That is the town believes like you are the one who killed your mother, and now you're coming back, you know, as a trans man, and are like this very conservative type town, and it's everybody experiencing, you know, you coming back and cleaning out your childhood home, and selling it, and you have a twin, and she helps you through the entirety of all that. But there's some of course with Don't Nod, there's some supernatural things afoot. And I think that it's very, very good. I think that they did a great job with the characters and the story. And yeah.
Yeah, I am actually a huge fan. This is the game. So I keep bringing out the xCloud because that's really just been what I've been playing lately. This is the game that I'm playing the most on it because this is definitely a perfect experience to just relax and be sort of sucked into. And Dotnod, I played quite a few of their games before. This is definitely one that it's sticking more with me, especially with the characters being both this brother-sister dynamic, as well as figuring out what actually happened with that situation that happened so long ago and what ramifications that has on the family as well as the people in the town. So I will say that some of the aspects of the game that I wish could have been left on the cutting room floor, which is now a trademark of these Donut games, which is the supernatural stuff. I kind of wanted to be more realistic, but then again, that it wouldn't so much be a game, really, if you didn't have some other mechanic or something going on with the story. But ultimately, yes, I think this is, if you are someone that tried Life is Strange and just couldn't fit into that narrative or any of the other sequential stories, which I definitely got to get into Life is Strange 2, because I think that definitely
it's so
fit
good.
more of my aesthetic. I do think a family drama, if you're interested in movies like that or TV shows like that has to do with just personal relationships, I think this is definitely something to check out. And there are some fun puzzles that are story related that are so interesting and cute, and then play out into bigger things later on. I'm only in the middle of chapter 2. I'm definitely excited to finish the rest of it. But ultimately, yeah, I definitely think if you have a couple hours, I want to say that each chapter is like 3 hours at best.
Yeah, they're not super long.
They're not long at all. They do have challenging puzzles within them. But if you just pay attention, you'll be able to figure it out. But ultimately, yeah, I find the storytelling that they tell in their worlds and their objects around the world, I think those are some of the more enriching things about it. So I definitely highly recommend Tell Me Why, especially to listen to a story that is not of my own. Right, the story.
That's.
Yeah. I have sisters. I have sisters that are in the LGBTQ community, but ultimately, this is something that made me connect more with that. Not in the same way, but in a way that to me where I'm like, yes, I want to experience something like this. So, definitely, like I said, I recommend this.
It definitely brings more of a understanding to the table where, like, I'm not super immersed in that. In the trans culture, I am trying to open up broaden my horizons with that sort of thing and kind of understand people. Not like I'm trying to be good to. You know,
you're trying to be
I'm trying to find the words to say, but you guys get what I'm saying. But another thing I think that's really cool about this game as a Dotnod Telltale-esque game, where, you know, previous games that they put out, it's episode and then you have to wait a month or 2 months or sometimes, you know, a couple of months to get.
Yeah.
This was weekly, so it made it so great to be like have the week, have the conversation, and then go to the next episode, because all the rest of the games I've waited till they came out because I don't want to wait for that long. I think they hit the nail on the head where it's just like, all right, now you're get ready for the next week, you know, and get ready for the next week. So you stay in that conversation like a actual TV show would be.
Yeah, I think 3 episodes is definitely the sweet spot with them, and I'm excited for their next projects because it definitely looks a little bit more Twin Peaksy, so I'm excited for that. But ultimately, I really think they, in my opinion, hit the nail on the head. Hit the ball out of the park on this one.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I think what sucks is like Dotnod's doing like really good work, and just for me, like the narrative game thing has like just run its course. Like I just have no interest in this anymore. Like Wolf Among Us 2, whatever that ends up looking like from fake Telltale, whatever the heck that Telltale is now, like we'll see what that is, and I might give that a glance. But yeah. Anyway, Ricky, do you like soccer?
I love soccer. Wait,
what about
I love
anime?
Football. How dare you trick me?
Yeah. Oh, what about anime soccer?
Yeah. So Captain Tsubasa, it is barely hanging onto my list, so I don't think it's going to make it onto our site list. But if you like middle school boys football,
Love it.
who infuse their shots with the power of mystical tigers and also have really good sportsmanship, this is the game for you. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Shaolin Soccer, the game.
Sort of, not as funny, not nearly as funny, but yeah, kind of. It's good. It got me. I started reading the manga, which is weird for me, but because
Reading the Captain Tsubasa manga.
yes, yeah, live on the internet.
You gotta wait for that FIFA manga to come out.
Yeah, if they would only make it. No, never mind. I was about to get really into it, but I'm not going to because we need to get finished. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool. There you go. If you're looking for an alternative to FIFA and you like anime, worth a look. Reviews. Ricky gave that an 8. You can find all these reviews on DualShockers.com. Wasteland, which I feel like is one we'll sit on for a couple minutes here. Chris, you reviewed Wasteland. You like Wasteland a lot.
I gave it a 9 because it's really good, and it just got better as I continued to play it. It's
but you didn't finish it, so it invalidates your review that you wrote.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I don't understand why people are like, we were talking about this. I don't know. We don't even need to get into it. Anyway,
I could write articles on this. I probably will one day. But
like when we were putting together a November list the other day, and I'm like something like Demon Souls. Like, I'm reviewing that. I probably will not beat all of Demon Souls before I write the review up for it, because that is a long video game, and it's a remake. I don't know. You don't need to see games through to the end before you review them, I don't think. Totally different discussion.
So the appeal of Wasteland 3 is that it channels like the best parts of Obsidian's like take on Fallout, so like Fallout New Vegas. And it does so in a way that's more like, if you play Divinity Original Sin 2, you can play it with your friends. You can play it as you play a D&D campaign. So it has way more freedom to kind of breathe and open up and give you options to roleplay. And I haven't beaten it either, but I'm playing it alongside like Disco Elysium, and I'm surprised by how good the writing is compared to like the gargantuan, like incredible, like amazing writing of Disco Elysium.
Yeah, the individual writing is not as good as Disco Elysium, but like everything else is up there, and it really does. Like the world building, the characters, really good, really interesting. I just really love that place. I love that take on Colorado. It channels as you say, it channels the very best of like the early Fallout games. Like, this feels the most like a Fallout 3 that anything has, when compared to like the earliest stuff. And the reactivity is off the charts in terms of, well, what do you want to do here? Well, there's probably a reaction for it. And yeah, all sorts of variety of options, approaches, skills, and it's just really good because it's just a really small, like, contained narrative in like the Colorado area of this thing. It isn't like a big world shattering, like, we must stop this or the world ends. No, you're just trying to
I'd say it's stupid in a smart way. Like, it knows it's spewing just like derivative, like post-apocalyptic bullshit, but it does it with such like grace at the same time. Like, it's such a like it rides that wave. That's why it's so like enjoyable. Yeah,
I'd agree.
This is one I really want to play, even though I have not played the others. I mean, not that you have to, because I know they're kind of tangentially connected to each other, if I'm correct, right? Similar to Fallout, where it's like you don't need to play Fallout 1 and 2.
You glean much of what you need, about Wasteland 2 and such just by playing. You really do. So,
yeah, this is one I've been giving a look, but I've never played games of this type, really. But I've also never really played too many, like, JRPGs, and now I'm a Persona boy, so... I don't know. I'm trying to broaden my horizons this year, especially when I'm finding myself getting a little bit more tired of the things that I usually go to that are comfort food, like Ghost of Tsushima we talked about earlier. Like, yeah.
So. Do a lot worse than Wasteland 3 as far as CRPGs go in this era. So, yeah, for sure. Highly recommended. Really enjoyable. Loved it. continued to enjoy it more as I went on. Further developed my skills and party and fine-tuned approaches and saw more crazy stuff. But yeah, it's really, really good. Highly recommended.
I feel like this is again, I don't think anybody else here has played it, but this is one that I feel like will be, those of you who do play it, it's probably going to be very high on your year-end list.
I have started it. I maybe have gotten 2 hours into it, and it's impressive. Just the things you can do. I like kind of how they've labeled the kind of quirks and stuff you can give your characters, and like defects and random things. It was, even though graphically it's a little rough, it makes up for in just gameplay, really solid gameplay, funny writing, and it just feels really good to play from a classic RPG standpoint.
Did you recruit the cat?
I haven't gotten to the cat, so
Okay.
That's early.
Cool.
It's really early. You probably missed it.
okay, then I probably missed it. Yeah.
That's Wasteland 3 again. I feel like
It's on Game Pass, so you should
it's
check
on
it out
Game
if you
Pass.
have Game Pass.
And it's on xCloud.
Dang.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff. Another one here that I just wanted to bring up that I don't think Chris, I think, would maybe be the only person who's maybe played this. Crusader Kings 3 is another one that has charted really high for us this year. Alyssa reviewed this for us. She gave it a 9. I know this game has been charting incredibly well at a bunch of different outlets. So again, I don't know if anybody here has played it or wants to throw in their 2 cents about this one.
I've played Crusader Kings 2 a lot, and that's really great. And everything I hear is that it's that bit better, or it's at least comparable to how that was with DLC and such, pretty much out the gate, which is, usually a coin flip with Paradox games. But everyone I've talked to, all I've looked into says, pretty good, worth a shot. I'll be getting to this at some point for sure.
It's easy to grasp if you're already a fan of Paradox strategy games, but like for me, I'm already so embedded into like Stellaris and like City Skylines that like trying to digest the systems that are presented in Crusader Kings 3, it's just a little too much up front, and I bounced off of it, which is something I wasn't expecting.
There is a learning curve with grand strategy games, and a lot of it is just, you throw yourself at like 20 hours of runs before you go, okay, I sort of maybe grasp a bit of the system.
Runs differently than if you're used to like playing one of their other games. I've never played a Crusader Kings game, so I'm just used to like I said, Stellaris and Cities, and it just kind of feels like such a different concept and such a different like set of mechanics that trying to like shift from one mindset to the Crusader Kings mindset just didn't feel very intuitive.
Stellaris is kind of like a halfway point between like typical space 4X management thing and full-on grand strategy game, which this is what this is. Like you compare it to like Hearts of Iron, Europa Universalis, etc. Yeah, those are very complex and give Stellaris like make it look very simple to get into. So I understand it. Again, it's a bit of a learning curve, but it's something I do want to try and tackle soon.
I had a group of friends all throughout high school and college that would go to one of my friends' houses every single weekend from like Friday and Saturday, sometimes Sunday. And all they would do is play Europa Universalis 4 all weekend. That's all they would do.
I respect that.
Like a group of like 6 to 8 people would do this, and that's all they would do. One of my friends has like a couple thousand hours in that game, and I don't understand it because all I see them doing is just staring at a map, and they're like, "Oh yes, this is what I love." It looks like they're just staring at a geographical map nonstop, and I don't understand it. But hey,
exactly what they're doing, but it's changing color. It's loving appropriately.
More power to you if you love those types of games, and Crusader Kings definitely seems to be up that alley, except maybe not as. Maybe a little bit more going on outside of just staring at a map. Cool. So that's how one. Avengers.
Oh boy, here we go. Okay.
I can sum this up really quick so we can just move on.
Nope.
Kamala's pretty good. Everything else is pretty mediocre. Let's move on.
Cam's right.
Pretty much.
Exactly what that game is.
Yeah,
Coming
I think
from
this.
someone who was very hopeful for that game to turn out good.
I think we could, Gabe.
I think
I
game
think so
dropped.
too.
Gabe, don't die.
Well, if Patrick Swayze needs to step in, he can. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, like I know Avengers is one of the ones we'll probably sit on here and talk about for a few minutes, and there's some things to break down. I don't really have a lot to say. I don't really care for this game, and I should like it way more because I am
Whatever
comic book boy.
positives it might have is just weighed down by the sheer corporate greed, I guess, is part of it in terms of the monetization and the design, but also just, bugs and lazy mission design and trying to make a live service without, they want to be Destiny, and they're doing the exact same thing Destiny did way back when. So Destiny has since grown up from that and learnt and done all that. Same with Warframe, same with all of that. They're trying to do it from ground zero while still being a really buggy mess and monetized to hell and back. It's like, it feels gross.
To step in on the monetization thing, in a lot of ways, I feel like this game has the same amount of monetization as something like a Fall Guys, in the way that I think it's just totally optional. Because I actually have not. Well, I mean, yeah, you can obviously pay to get some of these skins. You can obviously play through some of their battle pass, which right now is free. We don't know if down the road if they're going to be paid battle passes, but at the same time,
be paid for each character.
Well, wait, I thought each character was just content. I actually don't know about that. Is that true?
No, you get, like, the character drops will be free, but there is a season pass for each character you have to buy individually.
There's a challenge card. It's not seasonal. It's just a challenge
not
card.
A season pass.
But if you fill out one card for a character, it pays off the next one. So if you keep playing the game, you'll naturally.
If you want to grind another character up to like 100 or their challenge card to 50
exactly.
or 100,
you want to forego everything else in your
grind. Just get Ultimate Alliance 3. Like, that's a fun game. You get a lot of characters.
There's a level where you go to the hand base and you fight the Silver Samurai. That's kind of weird. I don't know. Do that.
That's Ultimate Alliance. Goodness.
That's what I'm saying. I like Ultimate Alliance.
X-Men.
Like, I'm praising Ultimate Alliance for getting into the nitty gritty of like Marvel Comics stuff, but then this game, the freaking bad guy is MODOK, which is a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I think the one thing I mean, just to bounce off of Chris's thing about the Destiny though, and how this is like what Destiny was. Destiny has always had good shooting mechanics though. Like, even when Destiny was like, oh, this game is very bad, at least it was like, ooh, shoot, feel good. This releases small amount of endorphins in my brain because I like this. Like, at least Bungie always had that down. The combat in this, like, yeah, there are layers to it on certain levels. Like, I've seen the clips of people like, check out this move I did with Captain America, and they're doing all these flips and shield throws and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, how long does it take you to learn how to do that, and how
not long
can you actually do that? All these videos of people doing that, all the videos of people doing that stuff though, it's always in the
danger room training room thing.
It is the danger.
Enemy design does not capitalize on that potential whatsoever.
Yeah.
In terms of, just the mechanics and stuff do not allow you to do that kind of, DMC styling that you can potentially do after you unlock all the skills and grind up appropriately. And yeah, like, there is the bones of something that could be really good here 2 years from now. As it stands, as it is now, no. If it gets to that point, great. Look at it then. Until then, skip this one completely.
Right now, man, I disagree. I don't disagree that it's not buggy. I don't disagree that it's not a great game, because it's not real good right now. But at the same time, I beat the story and kept coming back to it, and I'm like, I have to play Persona 5 Royal. I want to get. That's my second favorite game. Persona 5 is my second favorite game of all time. I want to beat Persona 5 Royal, and I just kept coming back to Avengers. And man, like, if I feel like Iron Man is so good to play as. The repulsors are so much fun. I think that Thor, while not the comparison that everyone brings up is the Leviathan axe from God of War. I don't think it's nearly as good as that, but at the same time, it's fun. It does everything.
When you can throw a hammer at an enemy and they get stuck to the wall or on the ground, is one of the most fun stuff that I've been able to do with Thor.
Captain America is so much fun. I just think that it's a decent amount of fun. I don't think that is anything more, and it doesn't need to be right now for me.
What I'm going to compare it
And we're
to.
talking about Game of the Year.
I know we're talking about.
I don't think it's Game of the Year.
It's going to be on my top 10.
It's going to be my top 10 for sure.
Primarily because I think the story, even though as shallow as it can be, I still think that it at least brought this world together in a way where I'm excited to see where they will expand upon within the next year. Like, I'm actually excited for these characters, these iterations of these characters that I've known for so long, especially when it comes with new relationships. Like, for instance, like Kamala and Bruce Banner is like my favorite of this year, personally. And I'm excited to see how they're going to expand upon it. And I personally played this game as more of like in the same line that I enjoyed like a Spider-Man game, where I'm playing for the story and I want to get to the end because I want to see all the things that they're going to do. Now, is the gameplay as good as Spider-Man? No. Is the gameplay as good as Destiny? No, not at all. No. Am I fucking having fun playing Captain America and kicking my shield back at enemies and just running in and just be taking charge? Yes, I am. And I'm also getting the same endorphin rush that I get when I play as Kamala Khan and beginning, and then or I'm playing as Iron Man. Black Widow is also one of the most fun I've had in a long time as well. Granted, this is vanilla dull Destiny. This is year one Vault of Glass bullshit. I'm hoping, obviously, for more expansion. What was I'm sorry?
Vault of Glass is like I haven't been playing Destiny since like basically base Destiny 2, but up to that point, Vault of Glass was still to me far and away the best raid in Destiny. So I don't know.
You didn't play Taken King?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Huh? You didn't play Taken King?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm saying up to like all Destiny 1 and then base Destiny 2 I played. I haven't played more because it's too much.
I'm just putting it on time and place. That's all I'm doing. Yeah. I'm not necessarily mentioning the raid because there's no raid right now. But I'm saying in terms of just like this is base on it. And at this point though, I am having fun, and then when the characters drop, that's when I'm going to come back. That's when I'm actually going to go back and enjoy this content. That's where I am with the game.
I think more than any other games as a service game, I am definitely going to hop back in for when they have content drops. I'm going to hop back in because I'm already invested in these characters. I'm already invested in characters because of comics and the MCU, and I want to see what they do with these characters in this game going forward. I don't care about Crota. I don't care about any of the things in Destiny. Or Zur. I'm sure if I was into that thing, I would, but I just didn't find myself wanting to come back for each and every content drop. And I think that this is one that I'm going to stick with because I do know these characters and I do enjoy it. And I think that is the underlying thing is like, these are well-known characters already. And I think that that's what's serving it more. I think if it was just a vanilla game, I don't think it would be.
At the same time, though, these are a different version of some of the characters that are broken.
Yeah.
Like Bruce. I mean, obviously, we've had 1,000 stories told by Bruce being broken. But his like I said, his relationship with Kamala is what drove me in it. And for me to be introducing Kamala in such a way that made her finally be interesting for me, I'm excited for what they can do for other characters like Kate Bishop. I don't know anything about Kate Bishop. Bring her on. Bring on anyone else that they're going to end up associating in this game and how they are going to be related to the story. If it's going to be as even slightly as good as it is with the Kamala stuff at the very beginning of this game, where I felt like, yes, I am this person that's clearly a geek for all this stuff, and I'm walking into this fair and just seeing all the cool stuff. So also that made me miss conventions so badly.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's perfectly fine that you like think the game is like I thought the game was fun. But like it's a mess. Like it needs. And I'm waiting until whatever first character drops to come back and see how things have progressed. Like I literally beat the game the day before that giant patch came out, where they fixed like 1,000+ bugs, and I was like, of course you did. So, but like, so yeah, like it's one of those things where like I see myself coming back to Avengers like when new characters drop, but like if I see that it's kind of like the same old experience, I'm gonna drop back off real quick.
Right.
It's at least accessible enough where you can hop in and hop out, probably.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I don't think that this is at all, like, a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 or even an 8 out of 10. I think this is a 7 out of 10, and it does exactly what it needs to do for right now. and it does have that endorphin rush that I have, but it is a buggy mess. So the microtransactions are really laughable. I think there is a lot that is bad about the game, but I think that the game actually made me care about these characters and care about how they play. Like, each character feels distinct to me. You know, like playing as Iron Man doesn't feel like playing as Thor. I think the closest ones being Thor and Captain America, but I think even they have things that are different. That I think that it was interesting that they were able to do that for how also of a buggy mess it is.
So come back in 2022 is what we're hearing.
Right. Yeah.
If we
Again,
go off,
not game of the year, but
Jeff Keighley model, then this game will be up for game of the year in future years. So don't worry.
All right, let's talk about a 10 out of 10. All right.
Tony Hawk's Pro 10 out of 10 skater.
Damn right.
No, that's not what we gave it. We gave it a 9. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, everybody knew these games were good. So
good.
But the remake's good too. So
it's the first time I've ever completed both games all the way, like in terms of all the goals, everything. I've never done it before. This was the first time I 100%ed both campaigns. I love this game.
I've always been more of a skate guy in my day. I mean, obviously, when Tony Hawk Pro Skater was out, I was playing that. I was playing Pro Skater 3 and Foundry, listening to CKY, and I was just bringing back all that nostalgia. Obviously, 3 is not in this collection, but hopefully Activision. But I think that the mechanics are timeless. I think that they're really interesting and arcadey and fun, but I also find myself, I'm like, man, I wish I was playing Skate right now, though. Like, I think that's just, but I think that is a me problem. I don't think this is a game problem. The game is definitely 10 out of 10. Amazing.
Has anybody else played it? I haven't played it yet, even though it's like one of those ones I want to get to before the end of the year. If nothing else,
I'll get it eventually, but like I'm not worried about getting to it by the end of the year.
I think
it's one of those. It's one of those ones that's like, I mean, for strictly like game of the year purposes, like, and we can praise it as like a great remake or whatever, but it's not anything will be like down to the nitty gritty. Like,
this is what I'll say.
It'll make a few lists, but it won't be like the top, I think.
But this is what I'll say though.
It won't be our stats.
A game that came out so long ago, and the majority of the mechanics are the same, just from all different iterations of the series.
Mm-hmm.
For it to come out in 2020 and feel modern
Still
as hell, and hit as well as it does with the soundtrack of old and new. I can't believe I like Machine Gun Kelly music now. That's weird.
I don't, man. I hate
love that
song
CD.
so much.
I love that CD. Anyways, including new fixes, like being able to swap songs on the fly, like just stuff like that. A game that is sold at this point, being able to be brought back in this way, with just by putting in all the mechanics that we've led up to this point, is just so wonderful. And the fact that I feel like it still feels like a 2020 game, in my opinion.
I just wanted to put this out there. But I'm sad, Logan, that you didn't transition with, well, we're going from Marvel's Avengers to pretending I'm a Superman. There we go.
No, fuck you. Stop that.
Woo! Here we go.
They're not even the same continuity. You can't do that.
See, Logan knows.
They cross over. You can cross over sometimes. You know?
4 times in existence.
Get a little bit. Yeah. You just get a little bit, you know, it's interdimensional travel, you know.
Does anybody have anything else they want to say about this one real quick? Again, it's kind of more of a known quantity to a degree, but they just did a really good job bringing it forward. Cool. Star Renegades, I don't think anybody else here has played, unless I am wrong, but I wanted to at least mention it because Sam reviewed that for us. He gave it a 9 out of 10. Very, very hot on it.
Yeah,
the game is dripping with style. It looks awesome. And it looks just as fun to play in a lot of ways too.
Shout out to the really cool little SNES repro looking cart for Star Renegades that they sent in their press.
I forgot that you got a care package for that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's so cool.
And a nifty little glass USB USB.
Ooh, we dig those.
Very nice.
But really, it's all about the SNES card. That's empty.
I just realized I was supposed to get something sent for Panzer Paladin, and I never did. I think Lou has it.
Knock it down a couple pegs on the top 10 list.
Way to talk about it on the game of the year.
So Star Renegades. There you go. Raw Fury game. It's on like everything.
It's really good. I want to get it at one point. Haven't played it yet. People say it's good.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that, yeah, like I said, too many indie games that I would like to give a shot. Speaking of indie games, all right, well, hold on.
Time, there he goes.
Before Hades, we're going to toss it to another indie roguelike real quick, because I forgot this came out. Spelunky 2. Do you want to say anything about this really quickly? Really quickly, Ricky.
Yeah, sure. I thought we weren't allowed to talk about it.
No, we can. It came out in September. I just totally, the review didn't go out till today, so I put this list together yesterday.
Okay,
So.
I was confused because never mind. It doesn't matter.
No, I was totally joking with you about whatever I said.
Yeah, I mean it's like it is basically just more Spelunky, which if you like Spelunky, that's amazing. And I happen to like Spelunky a lot. I'm really bad at it, but the one thing I like the most about Spelunky, I think, is like it's not so. We're going to talk about Hades in a second, but a lot of roguelikes are kind of like these days are more like Hades, where there's persistent progression between when you die and then you go back, you start a new run, and there's stuff you add to your character to make them better, and then as you go, you get better and better. And so eventually, especially, I mean, I'm not going to say Hades is easy, but eventually, I think most people will probably beat Hades, and especially, they have that God mode. So, but Spelunky, the only thing that changes is your skills and your knowledge. And so, I really like the way that the only thing that's changing is as you go, you're learning how to do stuff. So it's more a game about like experimenting, seeing what's going to happen, seeing what different things do. And they've added so many new enemies and items and like tons and tons of new secrets. There's so many things I haven't even seen yet. I don't imagine that there's any way I'll ever make it and beat the final secret boss, because I watched someone do that and it looks absolutely insane. But it's a very different beast than Hades, even though they're both technically sort of the same genre. But it is almost as good. I think I gave it a 9.5, which I would give Hades a 10. So they're very close. I'll say that they're 1 and 2 in my rankings right now. So it's very good.
Yeah, you should play Risk of Rain too, because that came out during this bracket as well. And that's a similar kind of thing, and it's what I've been playing since I finished Hades, and it's right up there as well.
What's like a roguelike past like 18 months, or I guess Dead Cells was 2 years.
2020
It's been like 3 years of just
season of the roguelike, baby.
The years of the roguelike.
This year's been really good because there's been you got Hades, Spelunky 2, even Rogue Legacy 2 is in early access right now.
30XX is coming out.
Yeah.
Play the Spire, Dead Cells.
There's a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
Good time to play roguelikes.
New Binding of Isaac expansion.
Pop-up dungeon.
Baby.
SpongeBob SquarePants rehydrated.
the best roguelike. Let's talk about Hades while we're on the topic, obviously.
All right.
Chris, we gave it a 10. This was our highest scored game of the quarter. One of our highest scored of the year, obviously, because we don't give these out very often. But you had nothing but glowing things to say about it. This is, I think everybody's just been kind of on that same high with it recently, though. Everybody on our staff, everybody that I've seen on social media and across the gaming industry, it was like the game finally came out and people are like, oh, cool, the Supergiant game finally hit 1.0. I guess I'll play it now. And everybody's like bleeding out of their eyes because they think it's so good.
So much thirst.
Yes.
The horny energy is running rampant.
It's all horny, no happy, and everyone loves it.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I guess to distill it down though, like what is it that makes it so? What makes it a cut above, I guess, than anything else?
Okay, from the moment you start playing, the moment you start a run, you feel powerful. The moveset is good. You don't have to get any particular boons or upgrades or anything to make it palatable, as you do in some like big roguelikes or anything like that. Again, there is that consistent progression, as Ricky said, was absent in Spelunky. That is there, but it also comes in the form of, dying isn't so much a punishment, because it's like, oh, well, I get to go back to the house and talk to all these really interesting characters, all of which have their own stories, quest progressions. There's so many different means by which you can progress yourself, gain new unlocks, vary it up, even just basic cosmetic stuff. heaps of different variety in the move sets, both in the boons you find in any given run and just things you can unlock. Finishing the game unlocks more stuff. Getting the true ending of the game unlocks more stuff. Like, there is not a time where I finish a run or stop playing and just go, I'm done. The only reason I'm not playing more of it at the moment is because I moved on to Risk of Rain 2 just for variety, and because you've seen my save file. I've got 69 runs. I can't do any more. That's it. Yeah,
Nice.
It's fantastic. I have no real complaints about it. The only thing, as I said in my review, is that you could possibly ask for more variety in bosses, and I stand by that. But other than that, what's there is phenomenal. And every area of it is given care, attention. Presentation is off the charts. Music is great. Voice acting, excellent. Writing, really strong. Characterization, great. Interesting takes and attention to detail paid on the Greek mythology aspects. All around, excellent. This is a game you absolutely should play, and it is my current number one. That's it.
So I finally bought it after everyone that I know said it was good, including one of the most brutal critics I have met in games. I bought it last night. I played for about an hour, and just like you're saying, you just go in and you hit the ground running, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's very good. I haven't played a game like Hades before. I'm not really a Souls-like fan, but I can see what people are saying already within the first hour. So I'm excited to play more of it.
It only gets better. It really does.
I have to heartily agree with everything Chris said. The last time I got this hooked into a roguelike game was Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which I played to death, and then every DLC and expansion after that. And while what Hades does is nail that great gameplay that Binding of Isaac has for me, that I play roguelikes specifically to break them, and Hades lets you have game-breaking builds. Every run feels fresh and unique, and that brilliant, roguelike base is only added onto by, like you said, brilliant characters, music, an actual story that is digestible, writing that would blow most RPGs out of the water in a roguelike game where you will not find good writing 9 times out of 10. It is
Transcends
everything
in that regard.
it is everything that a roguelike should be and more, and at that, it's one that is extremely, extremely accessible.
I think so. I'm gonna play this at some point because I love Supergiant. I've played all their other games. I love them as a studio.
They're 4 for 4.
Yeah, they're honestly they're probably one of the best developers in the industry at this point, and this just kind of verified it. And what you're saying, Otto, about how it has all these aspects to it that set it apart within the genre. I think what's crazy about it is and I would assume this is the same for a lot of people, is that when Supergiant first announced this game, they're like, oh, hey, we're making Hades, we're making a roguelike. My knee-jerk reaction was that's not really what I want Supergiant to do. And then to hear you say all this stuff oh, hey, everything that Supergiant's good at, their writing, their music, their storytelling, their narratives, all those things that they're really good at. Well, somehow they put those all in a roguelike too, and it's really good. It's
here's the thing. I've played Transistor. Transistor is the only other Supergiant game that I've ever played. It's also fantastic.
Really?
Has a lot of those brilliant traits that Supergiant has just across all of its games. I didn't know about Hades until it blew up. I had no foresight about this game. It came out, it blew up. I was like, well, shit. And I got my hands on it, and it is the best roguelike experience I've had, like I said, since Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I've picked up Risk of Rain 2, I've picked up Rogue Legacy, I've picked up so many other roguelikes in between now and then, and Hades is the only one that has actually got me hook, line, and sinker.
This is a game I'm really excited to give a shot because I am a huge, massive fan of Supergiant games, starting with Bastion. Bastion, to me, blew my socks off when I played it on the original.
Bastion is why I'm here writing. That's what got me. It's like, I need to write about this, and then it's all from there, because it touched me.
I think it's safe to say that everyone should play Hades. I can safely say every single person with a console, with a PC, should play Hades.
That was going to be my next question. Is like, I mean, obviously, I know it's going to be a resounding yes from the people who have played it, but like, what is its? Should it be on the shortlist for Game of the Year? And we gave it a 10, and everybody feels extremely strongly about it. And it's again, I don't know. There's like this stigma that like, oh well, a game like this can't win Game of the Year, and it's because it's got to go to the one that had the most millions of dollars pumped into it for some reason.
Screw that.
Yeah,
it's got to go to.
Especially in this day and age, fuck that mentality, man. I know you don't personally, but fuck that. It's not about that. It's about, doing what you can with your creative vision, with your passion project, and making it work. And Supergiant knows how to put that in every aspect. They don't have a weak spot, which they just go, it's no big deal. No, they cover it.
There is literally no compromise.
There's no compromise.
They're the same people that made a basketball game and made it interesting.
Okay, Pyre, like so all their games, that's the one that gets slept on the most. No, fuck that. Pyre's amazing.
Pyre's great. Pyre is so good. I almost wore my Pyre shirt today that I have. That game is excellent.
So, play Hades, all of you.
Play Hades.
Yeah,
Jesus
I definitely
God, take anything away from this video.
As somebody who, not that I don't think that any of their games are amazing, because I think they are. It just doesn't vibe with me. Any of their Supergiant's previous games haven't like really hit me. The closest one was Transistor, because I love that aesthetic. But Hades, I got absorbed in. I literally have lost hours and hours and hours to. I agree with Chris. Play Hades. That's all I want to say.
And play Bastion. Otto.
And play Bastion. Bastion.
Yeah, I know. I need to play Bastion. It's on a very, very long, ever-growing
list. It's on sale
list.
all the time.
And it's like 6 hours long. It's the best 6 hours of your life. Go play it.
Oh, damn.
Best final song.
All right.
Best final song.
Oh yeah.
Max Payne 3 has something to say to that.
Okay. So let's fly through. So we've got a couple more on the list here. What's up, Kim?
I didn't get to say anything about Hades.
Go.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think this game's really, really good. See, like everyone's like super like across the board on everything about that game, and I'm scared to like say my issues with it.
Oh,
just say it. Do it. Just rip the Band-Aid.
I don't think the weapons are super like well balanced. Not in the well balanced, but like I feel like there are those that are like obviously better than others.
Yeah, the spear.
Like the spear and like the shield for me is
the shield is so
I feel
good.
like for everyone it's like for most people it's like the shield and the spear. And then like I've never heard anyone say anything good about the bow or the gun, and I'm like, and I tried the gun. I'm like, the gun sounds like that. Seems different and cool.
I like the bow.
And I tried it, and I was like, I thought it was bad. Like I didn't like nothing. I was like I don't think it was good. I just thought it was like just compared to every other. I trying out every other weapon. I thought it was like by far the worst. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's like not a huge negative, but I'm just saying that like that was something I noticed personally.
I don't think you're wrong, Cam, because I think some of the weapons are better. However, like when you get a run where you get the right stuff on the bow, it wastes people. Yeah. So like I think at a base level it's weaker, but I think that if you know how to build it out, it's just as strong as anything else.
Plus, there are the aspects you can pick. The hidden aspect changes
for sure. I finished my first run last night. I don't know what number it was. It was probably in like the late 15 through 20, somewhere around there. And then another thing that like I found a little frustrating is that like, and I could have just like came and like probably asked you, Chris, but I just like I saw like my friend playing Hades, and I was just like, but I was like lurking. I wasn't like trying to interact. I wasn't interacting or something. I was busy, and I saw that you could upgrade the weapons, or like you can change the weapons. I was just like, how do you do that? And I asked someone, and they told me, it's like, yeah, they told me like, oh, this is how you do it. And then I tried it, and it didn't work. And then I was just like, I had to ask another person, like, because like it doesn't tell you, like it never told you like this is how you do this, like this is a pretty important thing for your weapons. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, again, like these are like very minuscule. Like again, I think Hades is absolutely fantastic. I definitely think it should be a Game of the Year contender at this point this year. It's not my personal Game of the Year, but it's definitely high up there on my Game of the Year list. And I think it's great.
I think it draws attention to a lot of that, but it's like, yeah, we can move on. Like, we'll talk about it after if you need anything. But yeah.
Well, what if I told you the true Game of the Year is going to be a collection of old 3D Mario games?
I would believe you.
Move on.
I'd be very
A
upset.
collection only available for a limited time.
We're actually going to move on. Yeah, this collection sucks for that reason alone. The collection doesn't actually suck. Like it's cool that
Charlie.
but I don't understand the time thing. It's really.
I'm thinking
asinine.
it's just when they're bundled together, and then after the time you can buy them separately.
I think they're going to pull a swerve like they did with the jump rope thing, where they're going to be like, hey, on March 29th, 2021, hey, remember everybody when we said it was limited time? Just kidding. It's still going to be available. Wow, aren't we a great company? Yeah, it's like, wow, so you just like made artificial scarcity. Yeah, you made artificial scarcity to make people think they need to buy this game as soon as humanly possible. You're really cool. All right, we don't need to talk about old Mario games. It's cool they're on Switch, whatever. Let's also run through Battlegrounds real quick. WWE 2K Battlegrounds. I don't think anybody has played this game. Mario would be the only one who has played this game.
I know, I didn't.
I don't even think he has. So there's no reason to even talk about it. So we're moving on. Mafia Definitive Edition. Last game we're going to talk about today.
One
Cam has played
game quick mention. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. It's really good.
Let's just say I'll just say Ian has said that is the best game he's played of like the last 5 years since Persona 5. He is in love with that game.
It is very interesting.
He has a review coming for that game at some point, and he is extremely high on it. So the score on that one's probably going to be pretty up there.
Maybe the first 11.
Good call back there, Scott. Anyway, Mafia.
Otto said it's what'd you say, the first 11?
Yeah, he'll give that game the first 11 in video game. Yeah, Mafia. I have played at this point. I've played the definitive versions of all 3 Mafia games. Mafia Definitive Edition, that being the remaster of Mafia 1, is the best among them. It is the only one that I would say is an actual remaster. I forget.
It's a
remake. It's a remake.
Yes.
I'd still say it's the only one among them that constitutes that. Mafia 2 is a port, and not a very good one at that. Mafia 3 is the same exact game, but with all the DLC. Mafia 1 is a brand new game. It is the Mafia, the original Mafia title. I did not play, by the way. I looked into it prior to the review because I wanted to know the source material going in, but it is a breath of fresh air, renewed and modernized on all accounts. The game does have its weak points in just these very strange difficulty spikes. There are areas where you will just get blown to bits multiple times and it will be annoying, but then you will get past it and the game will start chugging along like it normally does. My absolute favorite part of it, though, and the best decision that Hangar 13 made in re-releasing all 3 of these games was to separate Mafia 3's story and open world. I made a point about this in my review. I like open world games to a point. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite games. It is absolutely abhorrent that for most of the time that you are playing that game, you are riding around on a horse, looking at the admittedly very pretty scenery, but you're lying to yourself if you didn't put on the cinematic camera and just hold a button so that you could just like go on your phone while Arthur Morgan rides to wherever he's got to go. Mafia skips that entire bloat by
that was the issue. That was a big issue with 3. Sorry to cut in. Like,
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
it? Like, that was the one
absolutely.
thing I heard
Mafia 3
everybody
is the-
hate about 3.
Yes, Mafia 3 is the biggest in term of map size, and that game has no right to be as massive as it is. Traversing that map is a genuine bore. I can't stress this enough. I hate Mafia 3. I don't not like it. It is not a good game. It is not a fun game. Mafia 1 does everything absolutely right that the series has ever tried to accomplish. It tells a Godfather-esque story. Combat is fun, albeit, kind of droll. The music is brilliant. The story, the world building is brilliant. And the fact that it knows you are here for the story. You should not be playing Mafia Definitive Edition for anything other than its story. And if you do, it will get you right to the fun part as soon as you boot it up. You just press play, press story, and you go right to it. You can even turn on an option in the options menu to skip any optional drives, so you go right to the next story objective. I absolutely love that.
Cool.
I gave it, I think, an 8 out of 10 in the end because it's not the craziest game. I wouldn't say it's a Game of the Year contender at all. There are a lot more games that are much better. We just talked about one for a long time. And there are more games coming out in the very, very near future that will also blow it out of the water. It is still the best Mafia game that you could play if you don't want to, I guess, watch The Godfather.
Okay.
My favorite video game, the Godfather. I mean, I guess that is a video game, though.
If you just don't want to watch The Godfather but still want to experience a mafia tale, mafia story, just you can play Mafia 1, I guess. It won't be as good, but it'll be good.
Yeah, so I played Mafia 1 like 2 weeks ago. Mafia 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I really hope that when you mean the remaster is bad, like you're talking about the actual remaster part of it and not the game itself, because Mafia 2 is fucking incredible. No, the story is really good in that game.
The story is about.
Is.
We're not talking about that one.
And the first, this game, I played it. I love Mafia stories, so that's like why I played it. And I, wanted to play. I played the second game and I really loved it. So this the story is pretty good. It ends rather anticlimactically, in my opinion. It feels very rushed. I think the voice performances are absolutely fantastic across the board. Some of the missions are absolutely stupid. Like the things that they want you to do, like shoot off this like armored turret while driving in another car, and if you don't do it in like 3 seconds, you lose. Like that's not a joke.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, shoot this plane's engines while it's trying to take off while you're driving in a moving vehicle with a Tommy gun or something like that. I'm like, okay, yeah. So there are certain parts that like I had to spend like way too much time trying to beat. Even moving the difficulty to easy. I moved the difficulty to easy, which I don't do in games. Like it's the first game I can remember ever doing that. The music is absolutely fantastic. Like, definitely one of the most memorable things about the game. The driving, horrid driving.
Oh yeah, it's not fun to drive cars in that game.
Absolutely horrid. And it's just here's the thing. Like, they have horrible driving, which Hangar 13 said like, oh, we want to abide by the original's true vision, and apparently the driving was that bad back in 2002 or something like that. But like. It is.
I hate when they say that.
It is absurd. Like, and then there's a mission where you have to do a race, like in a race car, with like the worst driving mechanic. Like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I played Fast and Furious Crossroads and the driving was better in that game.
You're gonna hate me and you're gonna call me a liar, but I beat it on my second try.
You're lying.
I'm not. I beat it on my second try, and when I previewed that game, I beat it, and I had to do it again for the review.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like, unlike other open world type games like Mafia, the driving is just like I don't know, the things that you could do successfully in those games, you can't do successfully in Mafia because then you're just gonna crash into a wall. I'm just like, okay, yeah, that was terrible. The shooting, the shooting wasn't. I had issues with the shooting because I decided to turn off because you can turn off the aim assist, but then the camera was just terrible. I couldn't aim worth my life, and then I had to turn on the aim assist, and then I could actually play the game like it was a normal shooter, third person shooter type game. It was really weird, but I enjoyed the story, and that's the main reason I came to play the game. And yeah, what Otto says about the driving, the skip driving and things like that, super great features. And I mean, I definitely, I would have scored it lower than Otto personally, but I still really enjoyed it for its story, for sure.
I want to get around to it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would say
Video
take your
games.
time and wait for it to go on sale.
That is the plan,
Yeah,
good sir.
You can go through it. I went through it in 2 days, but that's because that one of the nights I just couldn't sleep, so I just played it throughout the night. But it's just if the story doesn't keep you interested, then don't waste your time. That's your time.
I would say that's a solid point.
You should come into that game wanting a good Mafia story, and if it's not vibing with you, just get out because you're just going to be torturing yourself at that point.
Cool. Again, I don't think many people have played this right now, mainly just because this was the dead last game to come out in the quarter that we're talking about here, so it means it is extremely fresh. Came out just 10 days ago or so, maybe.
I definitely have to get around to it. Just being a fan of the original Mafia game, but yeah, I have no real incentive to jump right into it.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's it's cool that this exists, but I think we can all agree that it's not going to be anything that's on the shortlist for Game of the Year by any means. So no reason to
absolutely not
try to get to it before the end of the year. So cool. That's everything for this quarter. So quarter 3 is in the books.
We made it.
Yeah. So that's it. We will have one more of these before the end of the year. So actually, we're going to have 2 more of these before the end of the year. So we will have our fourth quarter discussion, which we'll probably put out before the end of the December, I would think, because if you're familiar with how games release, typically by the second week of December, it seems like game releases are kind of on hold for the remainder of the year. Most years,
they're all coming out in November. Oh my god!
Yeah. We'll check out the calendar. But if there's nothing we deem really too big, we'll probably have our fourth quarter discussion out around mid-December, I would imagine. And that'll cover October through December, obviously. But mainly looks like everything big for the next quarter is going to be October and November. Obviously, we've got the next-gen systems coming here, and we've got everything big releasing in proximity to those. Big game on the horizon, Cyberpunk. We'll see how that turns out. We'll obviously be talking about that next time around. So yeah. Yeah. Wow. There's it's gonna be a busy next couple months. So we'll release that fourth quarter episode, and then that'll just be us talking about the games, and then we are going to release another episode after that where we try to get literally every person on our staff in here, or as many people as possible, and that will be where we actually talk about what deserves to be Game of the Year, and that will be an actual more straightforward discussion episode where we are just straight up looking at the games that should actually be considered. And again, the whole reason we're doing this is to weed out the ones that we know don't really need to fall into consideration comes year's end. So yeah, those are the plans moving forward with our whole Game of the Year strategy for this year. Again, I hope this has been fun and enjoyable for those of you who might be listening or tuning into this. Again, this is the first year we've implemented this whole kind of deliberation process, so it's something new on our end as well, and I think it's worked out well so far. I know that we have enjoyed having a way to talk about these games that come out kind of at the end of each of one of these quarters. So thank you for joining us. Thanks to everybody here who joined today. Again, you can follow each of them on DualShockers.com. I was gonna say Twitter, but I can't recite all your Twitter handles off right now. So DualShockers.com is where you can check out everybody's work. If you're watching this on YouTube, we would love it if you could subscribe for more stuff like this in the future. Mario and Nick and Scott are members of our video team who have been killing it over here recently. And so have a bunch of our writers, because we've been doing a bunch of crossover editorial videos that the writers are supplying the scripts for, and then the writer and the video folks turn them into cool videos. So hope you've been enjoying that. If you've been a subscriber, if not, we'd love it if you can subscribe now. Other than that, we will see you in the coming months, assuming we make it that far with everything that is on the horizon. So yeah, we'll see you back here in December, and until that time, take care. Bye bye.